Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to WOR Legacy Division. We are here tonight for season number 4. It is round 12 of the championship as we take in the Grand Prix down under, of course. It is the Australian Grand Prix from the Melbourne Albert Park Street Circuit, whatever you like to call it. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking through the stream tonight, as always, on this fine Tuesday evening. Hope you are all doing well. Jota will be alongside me in due course. You can see there on your screen 20 drivers about to do battle here once again in Legacy Division coming into tonight. But you want to have a look at what the standings and everything is like. Of course, from Miami last week, we saw Matteo, that quadruple overtake that he made down the straight on 4 cars right around the outside of turn 11. One of the best moments, I've got to say, in league racing commentary ever from my perspective. Matteo taking that race win only by 300 of a second, and an electric final lap battle with him and Rayen. Rayen really fought hard to try and get that win even. Ended up finishing second. Tudi there down in third. Then it was Macho Enzo who were right in the vanguard in that final lap as well. Lou, Alex Marciano, Joe Murphy, Ryan and Spies at top 10. And then it was Justin Yaron, Gakowski, Volokongan and Placky, the top 15 out on track. What did that do to the championship standings? Well, you might have saw on social media, our Team Shazoo were leading by 39 points coming into tonight. 435 to E-Takes 396. Novus Racing in third on 380. Very good week, though, from F7R's perspective, potentially, with Yossi, of course, picking P2 last time out in PSGL, and last night in PSGL's race, even. F7R there in fourth on 329. NLR Esports there in fifth on 223, so there's a big Grand Canyon chasm, as I like to call it, there down into fifth. Team TF10 there in sixth on 214. TTM in seventh on 172, Bunga in 8th on 165, CPI in 9th on 138, L-Plan in 10th on 107, and then in 11th position, as I've just in front of my Cole Comms, Outplayed Racing there in 11th on 29 points. And speaking of Cole Comms, he's alongside me in the commentary box now. Jota, how you doing?
Yeah, nice to be alongside you for this one. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a communication I needed to have prior to the start of this race, but it should be in for a blinder, shouldn't we, actually, with the Australian Grand Prix after what was an absolutely mental Miami Grand Prix, wasn't it? And ET8, unfortunate not to keep the 1-2, but what a race for El Plan Racing Team. They needed that.
They really did need that. And Mateo did keep that race win, of course, wrapped up the PSGL PSF1 Drivers' Championship last night as well, which is going to be a big talking point, I've got to say, coming through from my perspective, because he is one of our brightest future stars, of course, on the track, quite literally here on console, even if, of course, Xbox, even, of course, PlayStation, he is one of those ones to watch out for. But as you say, ETA got robbed of that one too. It was that 1-2 coming across the line, and I think really brought them up in the end. Enzo, unfortunately, dropping down to fifth as a result of a penalty, and that's what dropped them down into fifth ultimately. And ET8, even though they didn't get a 1-2, are now second in the championship coming into tonight, and they're what? 16 points clear of MVR, 39 points of Team Shazoo. They can still do this, even though they led at round 1 of the championship, with Ian Van Unen take that race win. They haven't really been up in the vanguard since, so ET8 have got a big, big margin to try and gain back. And I think they could possibly do it here tonight in Australia.
Yeah, potentially, but it's all about Novus Racing as well, isn't it? Because they've got a little bit of a point to prove after what was, let's be candid, one of their worst performances, I think, since they've even been in the Legacy Division. Is really poor performance from them last time out, which sees them obviously fall down as far as third place. But they've got a point to prove tonight, and I think they'll be sending out the best drivers that they can through Nick Chris and Gabba tonight. So this is going to be all about how they're going to perform off of the back of that one. But I'm keeping a very firm eye on the man in 14th, of course, on his outlap at the moment. Plenty of people leaving immediately here, which immediately tells me we're potentially got rain falling on circuit imminently. Matteo, of course, coming off of the back of the PSGL Tier 1 champion, F1 champion. From I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, that race? Yep. A really, really good performance from him after taking the race victory in the Legacy Division last week, and then of course taking the crown. So ET8 fielding probably their better drivers out tonight as well, with Zara, lining up alongside him to be a really good second in command. So going to be interesting to see how they bounce forward rather after a great performance last week in Miami. But it's all going to be about that performance, I think, from Novus Racing, and see how they can bounce back. And of course, Team Shazoo always a consistent team as it stands so far and leading the championship deservedly, I'd have to argue.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just trying to pick up on who's first out on track. Everyone's in a whole gaggle coming down the straight. So I'm very
Yeah.
difficult to try and find who's first out on track. It is Nick Christel, Nico Benz himself,
Yeah.
of course, the German for NVR. He is now coming through the right-hander now, turn number, the kink of turn number 10 even, in toward the right-hander now, of turn number 11. He is the first out on track. Judging by how everyone has taken the early stage of this qualifying session, it is a sprint weekend as well, so we will bring on to you the sprint points and everything else in the Vanguard later on, but we'll run on board with Nick Chris coming through the left-hander now, turn number 13, through cross corner at turn number 14, and on the run toward the line from a lap, of course, of the Albert Park Street Circuit here in Melbourne, Australia, with the land down under. Could be legends made here in Australia. Coming through the right hand now, turn number 1, through the left hander 2. And that is how you take the chicane and not back off like I normally do through that chicane. Now running down in towards turn number 3 at Whiteford Corner. Very difficult braking zone this. It is part of the car park complex coming through the left hander now with turn number 4. And then through the right hander now of turn number 5. Plenty of drivers preparing up for their outlaps and behind as well and preparing onto their laps now. Nick Christo through the first sector, 26.5 through the first sector, flying through the right hander now on towards what I'd like to call Sunset Boulevard, but I don't know, I think it's a Lakeside Drive if I'm not mistaken. Coming now down the back straight, down into this third DRS detection point. There are 4, of course, on the track nowadays in Formula 1. One in toward the left-hander now, turn number 9, then through the right-hander, turn number 10 at the chicane, and that is now you not do the chicane. Nick Chris has took my line through there. There's invalidated already, as I believe, I thought I saw a speck of rain there on the lens, but it's not.
Yeah, the rain is about to fall. You can tell here everyone's just trying to get themselves going here. One person already still in the pit lane, though, at the moment, by the looks of things. We're trying to figure out who it is that's still in the pit lane, but very keen to get going imminently, I would imagine here. Yeah, Nick Chris invalidating his lap as he comes into the pit lane. Is Coca Patria leaving the pit lane alongside him, actually, was Gatkowski. He also invalidated his lap as well. So the first lap will actually be coming through the PSGL F1 champion. And across the line now, Will Mateo with a 1:16.7 initially out the blocks here. His teammate going second fastest by a couple of tenths, though, and Igor Jelen beating him there to the line as Judy showing the muscle for TF10 there with a 1:16.529. More lap times coming in, as well as we believe we've got Gabba coming across the line, and he goes second fastest, just beating Zorzo to the line, as NLR will be happy with third as it stands. The other TF10 boy coming across the line of Dan J with a 16.9 then, and then Flopman coming across the line, and that's exactly what F7R are needing at the moment, especially. And a little bit down the order, though, for Velakongan in 6th. His teammate coming across the line, Ogween second fastest.
Yeah, not a bad run there from the former Team Velaman at all, but it is who I now like to call No Flop out on track. Flopman there in P1 currently. Did this last night in Brazil, left the session, I'm going to say, very late on in that qualifying session, so unfortunately couldn't get that lap time in. It was Yossi who took pole position last night. Flopman was second in Brazil, and Flopman already 2 tenths clear. Signals to me, A, F7R mean business, B, he's got a very good setup, and C, he absolutely adores this track.
Raphael on a lap as well, a little bit out of sync with everyone else at the moment as he chucks the car through the right-hander and then wanted to go down this straight. Of course, remember, this is a new layout around Australia as well. Of course, we're used to the old layout where we have a little chicane prior to this section of the circuit. Out of the way, though, will the McLaren go, and Raphael looking to try and follow in his teammates' footsteps, get that second place that he got. Maybe potential win on the cards for L-Plan Racing Team. Maybe not doing it like that, though, as he slides through the right-hander, and he's not going to find the best amount of time through there. And as he then chucks his car through into the right-hander, and as he enters into that third sector now, it's all going to be about that traction out of the corners now, because of course a lot of these are now medium speed corners. Chucks it through the right-hander, very well taken, to be fair, through there. Left-hander through here. We saw a little bit of a tank slapper going through there, and a tank slapper again through this occasion here. So obviously prioritizing the straights and the lower downforce setup for Raphael, but then the EPL will put their man in only 13th, which is not what they need on a sprint race around Australia, not known for its overtaking.
Definitely not. And with Raphael, by the way, down in 13th, I think he lost all of that time, as you mentioned, quite literally referenced, I think, out on track. How he lost that time coming to the chicane through turns 9 and 10. Once you make a mistake through that chicane, there is no coming back on your lap time. And a 17.1 is definitely not a fair reflection, I think, of what his pace could be like, I think, around this track. Raphael should be ideally around, what, Volakongan, Mateo, Eagle, Jelen, around that sort of area is where I would put him. But he's there in 13th. He has got a lap time on the board, unlike Nick Chris, who's actually just starting up on a lap time right now, down in 14th. You did join the lobby, by the way. I just want to double check that.
Yeah, no, I'm in here at the moment in the middle of an F7R sandwich, aren't we, at the moment as well? Is Flopman at the top, Yossi at the bottom. Yossi, we've seen a lot of this from him actually this season, haven't we? His qualifying performances are just not quite there. He seems to struggle initially, doesn't he? And then when you put the pressure on him, he does tend to find the lap. But Yossi, a couple of times, obviously, we've only got the one qualifying session ahead of the sprint, but you know, when we've seen him in Q1, Q2, last time he raced out, I think he only just managed to sneak through Q1 and Q2, didn't he? I think it was at Italy that he raced last. So, you know, something we've got to expect is Nick Clisso's in the rear. And there he goes into the wall. And this is what we expected, I think, unfortunately, of the man who was really pushing at his absolute limit here. Has he got enough fuel? I don't think he does. So he's going to have to come back into the pit lane and have another go here. And with everyone leaving on outlaps here, I'm wondering, have we got rain on the horizon, or is it just going to be overcast conditions? He'd be really hoping, fingers crossed, it is the latter, not the former.
If it's due to rain in the session, I think we'll be seeing it around about now in terms of the spec of the lens. Gatkowski's on the lap time actually coming to the right hand now, turn number 14. Be very interesting to see actually if Nick Chris has got any rear wing damage from that hit of the wall as well. 16.567, not a bad run there at all from him as Carsey there has retired, and that is coming down Lakeside Drive. How on earth has he crashed there? That's a straight he's crashed on. And he was beside a McLaren, who I think is F7R Yossi, who's actually just came past him, actually. Smashed the left-hand side tyre off the wall. 44 flat in the middle sector from Yossi at this stage. Sapala as well is on a lap time just behind, but he's actually invalidated. So it either makes me think him and Flopman might have had a little bit of contact, or he's just purely crashed by himself trying to warm up the tyres and he was on a down lap. So really peculiar goings on there from the BRT man. Hopefully we'll get answers in the chat or answers on Discord, but Yossi now coming through the final couple of corners. The man that stuck it, rightfully predicted by me, by the way, last night in PSL PSF1, on the run to the line. Does go second? No, he does. Well, he does go second. He doesn't go fourth, as you mentioned there in the background, 16.392. So he's only a 10th off. F7R, mean business here tonight.
Yeah, called a 16.4 for Yossi there, but found 8,000ths of a second more than I thought he would have on that occasion. Yossi managing to find exactly what he needs to make an F7R1 to exactly what they need as well, considering where they are in the standings, of course. Remember, these are defending champions. They're fourth overall here, and I think if assuming that we get a Season 5 of Legacy Division, they're on the brink of actually not automatically qualifying at the moment on F7R, and in fact, they're not in an auto-qualifying spot as it stands so far anyway, so they really need to try and find the mojo here, and this is exactly what they need, and especially at a circuit, remember that it's not known for its overtaking, so, I mean, the circuit's not known for its overtaking, but World certainly is, so this is where we're hopefully going to see the best. Nick Chris are straight on another outlap, and unfortunately, it is now raining on circuit. And now, once again, Novus Racing are going to struggle with one of their drivers now down at the back and one of their drivers towards the front, with Gabba setting that probably the last of the lap times that we're going to see of the best of the circuit with a 1:16.368. So he's timed that to perfection. Sipala is gone straight into the pit lane. He's not taking any further part in this qualifying with any kind of representative lap time. And Nick Chris, I have a sneaking suspicion, is going to be into the 17s here.
Finn as well has just made a huge mistake. Sorry to cut you off there, Joss. He just made a huge mistake on board his lap. Coming through the left-hander there, turn 13, got caught on the right-hand side curb, coming out of turn number 12, got caught on the outside curb, basically bottomed out. He's retired in the pit lane. He knows that the rain is going to be falling out on track. He knows there's going to be no more improvements coming. Eagle Jelen doing the same thing as well, out on track. So I think pretty much, unless there's a absolutely blistering lap time coming in right about now, which I don't think there is, everyone is down, I think, on their lap times. I think we've pretty much got our order how it is. I'm really concerned, though, about Nick Chris. Down in 17th position, hasn't got lap time on the board. He's got Sapala, who hasn't got lap time on the board. They're going to have to risk to get a lap in. 27.2 in the first act there is already down, and I can tell you he's already down because he's just absolutely obliterated there, turns 5 and 6. Nick Chris there down in 17th. If I was him, I'd personally retire, but I'd also try and get a lap in, even if there is worsening conditions out on track. You may as well get a lap time in just to try and preserve any delta time that might come, because of if it's only an 18-minute qualifying session, it could mean that you start off further down the field than we could set, and Nick Chris is not going to be anywhere near Raphael at this stage, so we may as well come in and retire, I think.
I'm just keeping an eye out on Gabba at the moment. He's 74,000ths of a second down on Flopman at the moment. So I wonder if Novus Racing are going to try and send their driver out knowing that the conditions are not going to be improving for Gabba here. So that's going to be one to watch. I don't think so, not on this occasion. You can see Nick Chris literally drifting around the corners here. This is going to be deep into the 1 minute 20s here. 1:20.994 for Nick Chris as he comes across the line, and that will set him at least a lap time to put him in 17th. The question is will Sapala beat him? But the track is starting to get very greasy out there. You can see that the wetness of the circuit is really starting to become quite prominent, mildly moist to be the way I'd describe it out there at the moment here. But people still wanted to set lap times here. Bell Belby thinks that there's potentially something out there at the moment. I doubt it. But 17-0 at the moment. He is out. He has to qualify his teammate. But the question is, will he go any further, I wonder? Tipala going down the straight, though. He'll be heading through the left and right hander, where I'm expecting there's probably going to be one hell of a tank slapper.
Not sure if Joss has just knocked his mic then, has got a loose connection. I can certainly hear something on my end there. Hopefully you guys can on the stream as well. So Parla actually is on a lap time, as you mentioned. Rayen there in the chat saying, "Go flop, man." Yeah, no flop. Currently on pole position right now, and I think he's going to remain that way as well. So Parla, though, coming to the right-hander now of turn number 11, into the right-hander now of turn number 12. All he's got to do is keep him within the white lines and get a lap time in. He could still be quicker than Nick Chris, but I think he's going to be considerably slower than the man ahead of him as he drifts the car through 13 and 14 on the run to the line of Sapala. Definitely going to be slower than Nick Chris, but he is going to pop himself into 18th position. Placky there with a retiring early on in the session. Carsey crashing, of course, down Lakeside Drive. That is the end, I think, of qualifying as Sapala. In fact, I think you've just referenced that. Has just spun coming through 10-1, lost his front wing. It's a good job he completed that lap, because he wouldn't have got another lap time in as everyone starts retiring. Flopman out on top. Gabor there in second. Yossi there in third. And I thought I spied somebody coming down the pit lane there going on a set of inters, but they're not.
Hopefully you'll be able to hear me loud and clear on that one. I think I might have caught the mute button or something on there. Very odd. Either way, very, very peculiar here. DRS now disabled. That's a pure indicator that we're now on for intermediate tyres. So the soft tyres and the dry tyres, just not the tyres to be on at the moment. So Sipala is just straight lining every corner that he can find in Australia at the moment, as he will just come back to the pit and will be the last of the drivers to actually set a lap time. Placky will find himself to be fortunate to be in 19th place, of course, from the fact that he retired straight away at the beginning of qualifying. He's actually got a driver behind him in Carsey, as Sipala is just absolutely rinsing these corners at the moment to just try and get back, retire, and get this over and done with. Flopman, though, on pole, but it won't be an F7R12. Gabba has split the pair of them, and he's on the front row.
Yeah, Gabor has split the pair of them indeed. Yossi there in third. Ogwin in fourth. Very strong qualifying, I'm going to say, from his perspective, given how his teammate Bulakongan is down in ninth, as Sapala nicely cuts turn 13 there. Now comes into a pit lane. I thought he was coming through the final corner there, which I was thinking, no, he's not going to do what NVR did in Monza, is he? But Sapala there into the pit lane. Flopman can retire, Sapala can retire. We can get going a couple of minutes earlier in terms of this. But it is Flopman out on top, Gabor there in second, Yossi there in third, as Matteo there has left the session, which I believe does indicate that we are going to get a restart within the lobby as well. So Paula there retiring, Flopman as well within the session. Nobody had an illegal blocking penalty, which is good, but I know for a fine fact, if I check the grid graphic, Nick does. And Nick, for my perspective, starts in 17th. With that 5-place grid penalty, which is applied at the end of the sprint, he starts right at the back of the field. So it actually does mean Sapala, Placky, and Carsey move ahead of him. So with that being said, from an NVR perspective, they're going to have a real uphill task. We'll run you through the full grid order now. We put back Flopman out on top from Gabor there in second, Yossi there in third with a 10th of a second covering the top three. Ogwin in fourth, Tudi there in fifth, Zozel there in sixth, with Gatkowski in seventh, Justin in eighth, Bolokonga ninth, and Matteo, the SGL PSF1 champion, definitely deserves better than P10 right now. Igor John there in 11th, but Finn there in 12th, good qualifying from him. Danjay there in 13th, Hazard in 14th, Bell Belby 15th, EPL with Raphael in 16th after their claim to fame last week in Miami with their P2, and there right down the back end of the field were the rest, including Nick Chris, who, of course, starts right from the back of the field. We are going to look at the standings, I think, before we go back onto the track very soon. Indeed, we are going to get a new lobby set up. But just on that point that I was actually making about MVR, Nick Chris, that 5-place grid penalty, going to put them back in the sprint. He starts right at the back of the field. Given how NVR qualified there with Gabor in second, they have got to put all their chips essentially on the table for one driver, and that's Gabor starting in P2.
Yeah, effectively, NVR have got to do what F7R have basically been doing throughout this entire season, where they've had one driver towards the front and one driver towards the back. The question is how are they going to manage Nick Chris's race, considering that there's going to be a long-term gain to consider, maybe the longer first stint, in the hope that maybe he can help Gabber out, if he considers a hard tie to start with. If Flotman and Yossi elect to go for the alternate strategy, Nick Chris would be in a fine position to go onto the hards and then potentially sort of use him as effectively a blockade for the likes of F7R to lose time so Gabber can catch up. So, they are going to lose points versus F7R tonight, which is the last thing that they really need, let's be honest, because NVR in third, F7R in fourth. As I said, assuming a Season 5, they are currently out of the automatic qualifying spots. The defending champions out of automatic qualifying spot. Who'd have thought it? So that is going to be one to watch. But you know who the biggest winner out of all of this one is, and the biggest shock for me, to be honest with you, is Plaque, because, of course, the TTM driver had absolutely no way in heaven had an opportunity to be, anywhere near 19th place. Carsey then ended up crashing out, so he starts 19th. And of course, then you've got Nick Chris, who now goes to the back of the grid as a result of the penalty, so he ends up moving up to 18th. So a driver who didn't qualify starts 18th place. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah, definitely disappointing, I've got to say, from Plackey's perspective. Obviously, you have to try and get a very good lap time in within a very good race within the sprint even. The sprint points, of course, are as follows. I'll get them up in my notes very soon indeed. But while we do that, let's have a look at the standings coming into tonight to refresh everyone's memories, of course. Team Shazoo out on top on 435 points. The first time that they've really led the championship, I think, all season from Miami. ET8 there in second on 396. Novus in third on 380. F7R fourth on 329. And F7R with a first and third position, definitely going to be helping them in terms of their title fight, potentially. They're down in P4. NLR in 5th on 223 even. Team TF10 in 6th on 214. TTM in 7th on 172. Bunga Racing Team in 8th on 165. CPI in 9th on 138. And then Elpan in 10th on 107. And of course, Outside Racing, unless they make some miracle comeback for the final 3 rounds of the championship, they're going to remain always on 29 points. They're down at the bottom end of the field in terms of the graphic. And of course, with the sprint points being available, we have got, as not per usual within real life Formula 1, the top 10 do get points here. So after 75% race distance, it is 12 points for the win, 10 points for second, then it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 for 10th position out on track. And drivers up the field, I think, Jota, are going to be definitely fighting for these extra points because, I mean, from an F7R standpoint, 329 points, they're what? 61 points or 59? No, 51 points. If I can do maths, that'll be great. 51 points behind Novus right now in 4th position. They could get potentially a good 1-2 finish. NVR could end up further down the field, and that could bring them right back into play.
Yeah, I know, and I think if the Novus are in a position where they end up falling down to 4th, I think that'd just be a bit of a killer. Considering, I think if I'm right, if my memory serves me correctly, Novus are the team with the most amount of wins this season. I think they've got 4. The nearest rivals will be ET8 with 3. So they have done an immaculate job to be in the position that they're in, to be a championship contender, considering last season where they were. So the fact that they could potentially not even be in the automatic qualifying spots as a result of this race, depending on how Nick Chris' performance is going to be the biggest shock of them all, to be honest with you, in considering in Novus. But you're right about the sprint race. The majority of the points are in the major race, but there are 12 points on offer for the race victory tonight, or the sprint race victory tonight, and that could be the make or breaker for a championship at the moment, where the top 3 are separated by 55 points and just over 100 between the top 4. So, and remember as well, for folks that aren't familiar with World Online Racing's Legacy Division points haul, 40 points for the race victory, 32 for second, 27 for third, and then 22, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, all the way down to 1. And then, of course, the fastest lap point for you if you're in the top 15. So it is all points are available here. And like I said, ET8 earned massive, didn't you? Remember, if you look at it last week, where they got the first and the second place, 72 points in total that they got. Post-race penalty reduced that, but 72 points for a 1-2 race victory. Let's say F7R, let's just say they managed to get a 1-2 in the sprint and a 1-2 in the in the major race. 72 plus the 22 on top for sprint is the difference between you being fourth and potentially leading this championship.
Yeah, it is so close in terms of the point scoring. Not only out on track currently within the standings, but also within both the sprint and the feature race as well. It is definitely going to be exciting out on track. While we wait for the custom grid and everything to be set up, we're going to go for an intermission break from our sponsors, Grid Finder and Next Level Racing. We'll be back with you on the other side. Welcome back, everyone, to that very slightly longer intermission. We were just talking there in the break about going on holiday to Blackpool and everything, but we are here tonight for Legacy Division, more importantly for the sprint first and foremost, and a reminder of the championship standings coming into tonight. 435 points for Team Chazoo, 396 for ETA, 380 for Novus Racing, and 329 for F7R. Them are the main four teams I think we're going to focus on throughout tonight. Obviously, Team Chazoo have got the vanguard in terms of the points, the lead in terms of the points right now. But ETA came alive with a potential 1-2 last week. Of course, they finished first and fifth in the end, post-stewarding penalties. NVR are up there with Gabor in second, and F7R have got a 1-3. So the sprint race, I think, Jota, could go any way.
Yeah, but this is a golden opportunity for F7R now, of course, because they've got an opportunity for a couple of 1-2s potentially in this championship. Of course, 22 points for a 1-2 in the sprint, and then you've got the 72 points for getting the 1-2 in the main race. So if they manage to encapsulate that and actually make it work, they could bring themselves right back into the championship fight, probably even rise as far as second place if everything all turns out well with if ET8 have a bad race. Of course, they've got the PSGL F1 champion in their midst, though, ET8, who I'm sure will earn big points tonight, and never discredit the likes of Gabba starting on the front row then alongside Flopman, and of course Shazoo, 4th place with Ogween, and Volakongan a little bit down the order in 9th. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages his race, because the last thing that he'll need to do is have a bad one and end up towards the back of the grid for the main race and end up having their lead in the championship potentially decimated as a result. I'll be keeping a firm eye as well, of course, on the likes of Nick, Chris, Carsey and Sipala. They obviously didn't manage to set a representative lap time as a result of the rain falling in qualifying. So let's see especially how Nick Chris does for Novus Racing. Will need to make some serious inroads. And Matteo also down the order as well, down in 10th. He didn't really get a good lap in himself. So a little bit of a mixed bag here. Could be in for a good sprint. 10 laps around here as well.
Yeah, it turned into more of a one-shot qualifying session, I think, for the second time in about as many weeks, I think, here in Legacy Division. It turned into that. It's going to be really interesting, obviously, in terms of tyres. Obviously, for the sprint, it's going to be probably either soft or medium compound tyre that the drivers will go on. And there they can try and find their grip potentially within the race. The 29 laps, of course, that's going to be in Australia. Tyler's race cam there saying Placky got subbed in with 10 minutes to spare. FYI, he done 0 prep there in the chat. So, big up, I've got to say, Placky there. Not Blacky, goodness me. Placky there for TTM, who, in all intents and purposes, had to literally join the session about 10 minutes before. I think Stokey was due to be driving for TTM. Placky in instead. And I've got to say, though, I think that's a better substitute than anything because Placky can deliver a really good race out on track. Hopefully, though, everyone will be okay out on track and hopefully everyone can forgive my slip of the tongue there.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Palaki does actually in this race because I think he is definitely going to be one to watch towards the back. He's always a resilient driver, always willing to go for that extra move. If he sees a spot, he will go for it. So I will make the call to say that he's going to be in the top 10 by the end of this race, is Plaquet. I think he's got the tenacity to do it. So we'll say he's going to be 10th at the end of this one as we get on with the race.
5 red lights are going to go out here for the sprint in Australia, in the land down under. And it is lights and away we go, and Flopman gets a good start. He has to come across though, and Gabor, you'll see there's going to be right alongside, potentially in towards turn number 1 as well. And it looks like actually is Goldstein on. I think Goldstein might be on here, and this is a big descent going on coming through the first couple of corners. I think everyone is fine. Flopman leads the way. Gabor there in second. You'll see there in third. I'm hoping it just fixes itself at the end of lap 1. Tuning down the inside line of Ogween. Ogween there trying to go side by side. Zolz and Gakowski are side by side as well. There's a 5-second penalty further down the field. Oh, there's major contact in the wall goes Ogween. That could be a safety call already. It is a safety call already. Ogween in the wall. Nick Chris is in the wall. Gakowski in the wall as well. Absolutely everything going on. Probably one of the worst one of the worst starts, I've got to say, this season. And that is why I think, on our timing screens, I can see on the top left-hand side of the corner there, Flopman, it says lap 2 out of 10. So I think it's purely on the graphics than anything else where the lag has occurred. But obviously with this, Gatkowski there out, Ogween out, and definitely could have been avoided. But it looks like, people mentioned in the chat as well, Gabor potentially could be desynced as well. And that's what my first impression was like. But I think it's hopefully just graphical rather than anything else.
Yeah, we are aware that there is a sprint glitch when it comes to the spectator mode in this game. So I think what will end up happening is Flopman will come across the start-finishing line. He will start the second lap, and that's where the time will then resync into the equation. And I don't think that there are any issues with regards of the ghosting, though. I think the ghosting issues is a relation just purely from a spectator point of view as well. So Gabba is now 1 minute and 32 seconds back, but that should start to collapse any second, maybe at the end of the next lap. By the way, safety car is now out, so the drivers will now be electing to switch over to a soft tyre if they needed to change their front wing. But critically, the drivers that have decided to start on the soft tyre, Matteo, are in a far better position now because they're going to get at least 2 laps, you'd have to say, behind the safety car. And as a result of that one, his soft tyre sides will now go the distance of the sprint. So keep an eye out here. As ETA might be in a little bit of a better position than you think now. Towards the front, though, Gab obviously manages to hold on to second place from F7R in first and third. Tudy will be happy with fourth as it currently stands at the moment, up one position. But Justin up 3 positions for TTM, exactly what Top Tier Motorsport needed as well. And I did mention about Plaquet, up 8 positions into 12th already, and he's now behind the safety car. So I think the top 10 prediction might be, I think we're odds on for that one. What do you think?
Yeah, he's on a set of soft compound tyre as well, so obviously they can get to the end of the race. They do go off, though, within the first 5-6 laps, I've got to say, of their stint. So the final 2 laps, they're going to be literally on tenterhooks in terms of that set of soft compound tyre, which might mean everyone on the set of mediums, which is pretty much, I think, half the field right now, could be actually on the best strategy. There's the possible race strategies coming up. I mean, the most oblivious AWS graphic you'll ever see all season, I think, coming up there on your screen, literally saying 0 stops, no matter what tyre you're going to be on. State the obvious, Skullmasters, thank you very much. Flopman leading the way from Gabor in second, Yossi there in third. We are under the safety car after numerous incidents, I've got to say. On that lap 1 opening, we had Nick Chris in the wall, Gatkaski, which you mentioned there, in the wall. Ogwin was in the wall as a result of 3 wide contact between him, a Ferrari, which I think was Sapala, if I'm not mistaken, and then another car, I think it might have been Nick Chris himself, who actually ended up in the wall himself and ended up having to change his front wing. Igor Jelen came in the pit lane, he had to change his front wing. I think most of the drivers that actually came in tried to challenge their front wing, but in the end, Flopman leads the way, Gabor in second, Yossi there in third. Judging by everyone saying in the chat, there was a lot of argumentative comments coming through, I've got to say, in the chat from various different teams. And I do get the points that they're making, because it looked like Gabor was desynced to us. It might have just been purely on our end, but drivers will feel very hard done by that race start. But it is a glitch. It has been known in the game for months and months, and nothing has been done about it. So if there's anything to blame, really, it's not only the drivers involved that have to take a portion of the blame. More the blame, I think, has got to go to Codemasters and the actual game for this glitch still being in the game with, what, a month to go until the new game comes out.
Well, I beg to differ. I think, yeah, there are some responsibility that needs to be held on the platform, but let's be candid. There was an extremely silly behaviour, we'll say, if we're going to just try and be as diplomatic as we can. You know, that some of the drivers were being extremely silly out there by going for gaps that just weren't there. For instance, you went 3 wide and there was a space that would open up and someone slid their way through it, and because of the contact model, which again is a Codemasters problem, you hit the rear wheel, hit the rear wheel to front wheel, the front wheel driver will end up being spun out. So there's a lot of learnings to be taken into the next game from a Codemasters point of view, but certainly the drivers clearly have still got that anger behind the Miami Grand Prix last week, and they've carried it to Australia. We're now in a sprint race. The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, so Flopman will be leading from the front. We'll see when he decides to go, but the drivers have got to be very careful out there. As it stands so far, though, I'd say the advantage is on the 7th place man Matteo at the moment. He just needs to make some early inroads on Volakongan, and I think he could be away pretty quickly. Safety car just entering into the pit lane now, though, so Flopman will lead from the front, and he will decide to go when he wants to go, and as soon as he decides to go, which I think is right now, he's caught Gabba completely napping there as we are about to go green again very early on in this Australian Grand Prix sprint race.
And that's beautifully worked from F7R, because Yossi's right on the back of Gabor. Gabor's been gapped out to 9/10 of a second coming through the final corner. Very early start from Flopman, but it's got them every single driver in behind, on the stretch and behind, including his own teammate. Yossi there in 4th, Gabor there in, Yossi there in 3rd even, Gabor there in 2nd. Justin tackling for 4th though on the back of Tootie, running down and towards Whitefoot corner at turn number 3. We'll turn the telemetry on just to try and get a breadth of how everyone's batteries is doing at this early stage of the race. But everyone is clean through, I've got to say. Coming down in towards turn number 3, I think everyone is clean through, which is good. Everyone now behaving themselves, which is also good out on track. Flopman leads the way, Gabor in 2nd, Yossi there in 3rd, Tootie in 4th, Justin there in 5th. Thought Matteo could have got potentially Volakongan. As soon as I say that, though, he gets a phenomenal run. Coming out of the chicane, now running down Lakeside Drive. But Volakongan is so quick in a straight line. Matteo's not going to go for the move in terms of the battery. Not waste the battery at all. Dan J is on the back of Igor Jelen, running halfway down Lakeside Drive as well. But I don't think he's going to get the move as Matteo sets the purple middle sector out of everyone. Nearly a little bit of dirty air kicking in there from Matteo. Volakongan nearly made a mistake as well. And here comes Belby on the outside line as also in towards Ascari. Matteo there there going for the move as well. On the back of Volokongan, didn't manage it in the end. And Belbelby couldn't manage that move on Zozo either. So Zozo there in 9th, Belbelby there in 10th. Nice move going on there in behind. Hazara there trying to eye up the inside line in towards Senna and then in towards Prost at turn 14. But Flopman leads, Gabor second, Yossi there in third. F7R have taken an element of control of the race early on.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds the gap between Gabba and Flopman. Of course, remember, there is absolutely no DRS then until the end of the 7th lap. So it's so late in this sprint race that we're even going to see DRS at this point here. So Yossi has got all the time in the world. Oh, it's a late breaker and a lock-up on the rear for Gabba as well. So he's losing even more time to Flopman at the moment, as we've got some really good racing happening in the midfield at the moment, happening between, I believe it was Placky and Raphael. Carsey getting in the mix as well, down in 13th, 14th, or 12th, 13th and 14th respectively. Keeping a firm eye on Nick Chris, by the way, he is struggling out there at the moment, down in 18th place. His NPR's race is very much one up, one down, but it may be one up that's currently going to go down here as Yossi getting closer and closer, and he gets off of the throttle. No. So he's waiting for the DRS, and I think he's just going to keep Gabba under pressure. F7R are on for the first 1-2 of this sprint race. Are they going to be able to carry that into the Grand Prix, I wonder?
Oh, Carsey making a big mistake there as well. He's tackling the back of Raphael. Raphael's now on the back of TTM Placky. Placky defends the inside line. Raphael tries to go all the way around the outside though at turn number 11, forced off track. Not even going to get that move done. I mean, to be honest, positioning your car there, you're never going to get the move done on the outside line in towards turn number 11, but he tries to get the move back done through 13 and then towards 14, trying to get a good run out of the final corner. Flopman though has gone 2 seconds up the road from Gabor there in second, Yossi there in third. Hopefully everything is fixed, by the way, in terms of the sound. Yossi there is on the back of Gabor, second and third position out on track. 2D, Justin, Volokongan, Matteo, Finn, Zozo and Belbelby currently a top 10 as Azara tries to look up a move potentially on the back of Belbelby in toward Whiteford corner as well, just trying to flick through the field and seeing how everyone is going. Nobody going for the moves, everyone I think just trying to remain on their battery. But you mentioned there about Yossi, right on the back of Gabor. Gabor's the one that needs to get a move on. I mean, people say Hazara needs to get a move on further down the field. Gabor needs to get a move on. He's under so much pressure from Yossi, so much pressure from 2D. He's going to be swamped down in towards turn number 9 if he's not careful.
Yeah, here he comes then, Yossi around the outside line, and Gabba is going to get overtaken twice as he's now down to 4th place with Judy making the move. He gets a switchback though, but I don't think he's going to get it on this occasion without any DRS. Actually, he might end up falling victim of Justin, potentially. It's Carsey. 3-second time penalty for his troubles as well, down at the back in 14th place. So as it stands so far, Gabba is now out off of the sprint race podium as it stands, as NVR's race going from bad to worse with Nick Chris still struggling at the back. Gabba down in 14th place, as you're right there about Hazara, who couldn't get any inroads done at all. He's now down to 13th place, Placky up to 11th, but the gap of 1.1 seconds means that he's going to be hemorrhaging time and potentially under pressure from Raphael. He needs to make one position, and my prediction is going to be right. He'll be in the top 10. He
will be in the top 10 indeed. He's doing a great job further down the field. Carsey, Hazara.
That's a late one from Placky, who's ended up going up on the curb too hard. He's then ended up losing the position as a result of that one. Took too much curb on the inside line, lost the rear as he put himself onto the outside curb. He's now down to 12th.
Yeah, down to 12th indeed. Raphael now into 11th. Good moves going on out on track though. Further up the field, Justin applying a lot of pressure to Gabor. Not sure if Gabor may have picked up any residual damage from that lap 1 incident potentially, but he is struggling. Coming now down Lakeside Drive, Justin's on the back of him. It might be because though Gabor's got so much less ERS compared to Justin. He feels like he's very weak out on track, and it could be the case where the TTM man is going to get the move on the back of the NVR man as Carsey tries to up the move further down the field on Azara. That could be the move there for Justin. He's on the back of Gabor, who makes a mistake coming out of the chicane. Now in towards turn number 11 and Ascari, trying to get the job done right down the inside line. Volokongan having to fend off Matteo, who nearly makes contact as well. Still side by side between Justin and Gabor. Still side by side. They make contact and Gabor makes damage. If he hasn't got damage, he's definitely got it now. Volokongan's inside of him. Gabor's got right side end plate damage, I think, on that car. Little bit aggressive from the TTM man. Little bit aggressive from the NVR man. Very difficult to see who was at fault for that one. But Flopman leads the way. Yossi second. 2D there in third. But it's an incident, Jota. I think that could have been avoided there.
Yeah, it could have been avoided, but I think Gabba was trying his hardest to hold on for a position that they're obviously thinking about the long-term aspect of the main race ahead of us as Nick Chris has retired. He's crashed at turn number 2 and at turn 1, turn 2. So I have a sneaking suspicion we're not going to get a safety car now. It's too late in this one. We might get a VSC at the very latest, but I doubt that's going to happen. No, it's cleared up, so we'll go back racing once again. F7R 1-2 at the moment. Very happy as Chudy just hangs onto the back of Yossi in the hope that potentially TF10 could get a second place out of this one, with Sapala getting another 3-second time penalty. It's going to make him for what could be a very interesting race as regards to penalties as it stands. We're only 8 laps into this race, as Matteo is making the move for 7th place here, as he does try to get the move done on Finn and gets the move done. Now he's going to be looking on Gabba here. And remember, this is an important battle here happening between ET8 and Novus Racing. This will be the make or breaker for Novus, because of course they will be earning points off of Matteo being in 7th place and Gabba in 6th. But I have a sneaking suspicion that that is going to swap imminently. 8 of 10, 1 to go.
Yeah, 1 or 2 to go even at the end of this lap. Flopman leads the way. Yossi second, 2D there in third. There's a big old traffic jam now coming through the right-hander on this street circuit of 10-14. Beautiful helicopter cam on board with Zozo, by the way. Finn's on the back of Matteo just ahead. I think everyone's just going to settle down for the final lap of the race. We nearly saw Matteo actually try and part the Red Sea through the middle of turn number 1, through the middle of the chicane, and now Finn is right on the back of Matteo. His tyres are now beginning to go off. As I mentioned, they only have about 6 or 7 laps tyre life, and because they've been under the safety car, he is going to be struggling now from the final 2 laps onwards in this race. Yeah, Finn definitely does need to get past him. Indeed, Matteo, though, is applying a lot of pressure to Gabor. That Goldstein, by the way, after that contact, I definitely think he's got right tail end plate damage on that car. Has the man in 6th position, as Matteo's going to try and eye up the move, or Conga eyeing up the move further down the field as well on the back of Justin. Then that come down Lakeside Drive on the outside line in towards turn number 9, but Justin's going to hang on, I think, into the braking zone. He does indeed. He's through, and he's into 5th. Into 4th even. Volakongan hanging on for 5th, and now Gabor under pressure on Matteo. Here comes the PSGL PSF1 Drivers Champion to the outside line, shooting on the set of soft Campana's tyres. Going to try and find his move.
Don't go for that. That's ridiculous.
Tries to go on the inside line, force him off track. And Matteo, he knows better than that. I said about Joe Van Bussen in Las Vegas. He's a PSGL PSF1 champion. Needs to act better than that.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. No, I'm going to put blame firmly in the form of Gabba there. He went for a move that I think was probably going to be closed, all done and dusted. I think he's got damage as well, hasn't he, as Gabba? So he's always going to understeer off of the circuit. So a little bit aggressive, to say the least, from Gabba. And if anything, he's only lost the position anyway, and he's now down to 9th. So if anything, Novus and ETA have both lost out big time. The big gainers at the moment, of course, are going to be BRT and NLR in 6th and 7th. And look where Alpine Racing Team are as well in 8th and 9th now, with that overtake with Gabba, as Gabba just has to concede. That position is now gone. He's going to be wise to try and hold on for P10 here, as Matteo is going to want revenge on this final lap of this sprint race.
He is indeed. He's right on the back for this final point scoring position out on track, because of course it could all get decided within the steward's room, as we saw last week. Matteo now on the back of Gabor, running halfway down the straight for the battle for P2. By the way, he's not on at the minute. Yossi, 2D, the 2nd and 3rd. 2D is getting closer. There goes a thing. Finn actually defending off Zozo. Zozo ran the outside down into the chicane. Job done for him. He's through, he's into 6th. Finn there in 7th. Here comes 2D though, trying to fight to the inside line. Zozo though, 2D though, looking for the move to the inside line through 11. Couldn't manage it. Now in towards turn number 12. Flopman will win this race for F7R, but it's who's on the podium behind him. That's going to be the main question. 2D is going to have a phenomenal run now, coming through the final couple of corners, through 13, through the right under 14. But Yossi's got the legs coming out of the final corner, and it's going to be for the first time in a while. F7R 1-2. Flopman to the line wins. Yossi in 2nd. 2D there in 3rd. Justin in 4th. Volakongan there in 5th. Another couple of laps. It could have been well and truly different. Zozo there filling up in P6. Avatar mentioned there in the chat, a lot of dirty moves. Yeah, I mean, it's a sprint race. They normally get aggressive within the sprint race. But that was just a little bit over the top, I've got to say, from my perspective. Hopefully they will calm it down indeed in the race. But Jota, it's Flopman out on top. It's Yossi in 2nd. F7R12 for the first time in how long?
Very, very long time for F7R. Needed that. They've got their first set of points. Don't credit the 8-7 through all the way 1. It's a different point system here. What they've got there is 22 points after a magnificent race from F7R there. People in the chat asking if it was defence, John. I'm not entirely sure it was defence when you're going for a dive and then end up forcing someone off of the circuit as a result of that one. Ray Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton at Brazil, but we'll gloss over that anyway. Nonetheless, a really good race for F7R. They needed that. TF10 in the top 3 as well. Exactly what they needed for as well. Fair play to Volakongan for 5th place, by the way, and Plaque very close to that 10th in the end with 11th place, but Matteo down in 12th, and that was all caused by the fact he burnt through all of his ERS in the end, at the end of that one, and he ran just a little bit too early, and he lost all of the time as a result on the straights. Shame, ET8 could have earned big time, but it's all about that main race coming up very soon.
Mies, by the way, in the Discord just came in and saying, I think I'm dreaming, man. I see an F7R1 too.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, absolutely well deserved. I think from that safety car restart, all the credit has to go to the man who led that safety car. It was Flopman. He got Gabor out at 8.5 tenths of a second coming through the final corner. Went very early. That's what won him the race. Yossi still had to do his bit, though, to get that second position. And F7R got that 1-2 in the end. Really, really good in terms of that perspective. And hopefully the points will be carried forward. I think we do have an updated point system very soon indeed in terms of the point standings. But Jamie Ayres saying in the chat, no aggression there, can't hold it around the outside. I agree, I think, with Jamie in that perspective. It's a very difficult incident to try and see. I was on board with Matteo for most of that. And him going around the outside, Gabor still had a little bit of the car length ahead. He was defending the car going into the corner, so he was defending the move almost on Matteo. And Matteo trying to go around the outside on wearing soft compounded tyres, I may add, as well. Very difficult to do. And going around there on the outside, very difficult to do as well at turn number 11 because it is a corner that's been reprofiled. It's off camber. And that means anybody going around the outside is always going to be trying to give up position on the outside for the inside of potentially going into the corner. So it's an interesting one. We'll put it down into that perspective. We are going to get very soon indeed in terms of the race. But we are going to get going very soon. Joseph, you got the points up, by the way, the updated ones.
I certainly do. Yeah, I certainly do. And it's actually very interesting out there at the moment. Gap now 45 points separating ET8 from Team Shazoo. Then you've got Nova 60 points behind and then F7R 90 points behind. So as a result of that one, they've really closed down the gap now below 100 for F7R. And of course, a 1-2 here would bring their points tally. It won't be enough to try and get them to P1 if Team Shazoo don't score, but they certainly could get as high as P2 as a result of this one. So we'll have to see what that race brings. But this is going to make for a very, very interesting set of events now moving forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what Gabba can do then, because of course he's now starting a little bit lower down as a result. So is he going to be able to take the learnings from the sprint and move forward? And then keep an eye out, of course, on ET8, who of course want to try and bounce back after a very poor sprint where both of their drivers were out the points.
We are going, by the way, in 2 minutes' time. Just being confirmed by Mr. Luke Humphries. 2 minutes' time, so 8:11. Which is a very decent time, I think, to get a race undergoing. Cobb there saying in the chat as well, Matteo turned in Gabor, which gave him a snap, which he corrected, pushing them both off. Yeah, with this contact system, it is very difficult to try and go around the outside on any car. And if you make the contact on the outside, where Matteo did, Gabor was on the inside line defending, any bit of contact with these cars can really unsettle, and that's what we saw with Gabor, having to aggressively almost defend going into the corner. It's a very difficult one. We can say our piece is live. We can view it differently off track, and that is the case with any other stream that we do, no matter where it is, no matter what your affiliations are with as well. But we have to try and call it down the line, and me and Joseph will probably agree to disagree, I think, on that incident. He has one opinion, we have another, and in the end, all's fair and nothing more. At least we've got freedom of speech. That's what we can definitely say out on track. But we are going to get going very soon indeed. Predictions in the chat, please. Who do you think is going to get P1 out on track? And I'm immediately going to put on the pressure of my man again, F7R Yossi, from second position. Really good qualifying from his perspective. Really good sprint. Finishing there in second. Being almost the guinea pig to Flopman ahead. I think he's going to take the race sprint. And it could be 2 nights in a row that he does.
Yeah, potentially. I'm looking forward to seeing what F7R could do from the front here. It's got to see some classic F7R action that we've been basically missing throughout this entire championship. So, yeah, Yossi is a favourite for that one. I'll throw my hat in the ring and say Tudy for the race win, simply because I think TF10 need this kind of race victory at the moment as well. I think they're a team that will work their hardest to try and counteract perhaps the performances that we're struggling with. Here we go. 5
red lights are going to go out here in the feature race for Legacy Division, and it is... Lights out and away we go, and Flopman gets a good start. Not a good start, though, from 2D. He's going to be under pressure from Justin down in towards turn 1, and already, in fact, ahead goes Justin in towards turn 1. They've got to be very careful, as they found out in the sprint, that they don't make contact with anybody else out on track. Everyone, I think, is clean through, and all the cars, I think, have relatively unghosted, apart from Yossi, they're in second. Everyone is clean through. Flopman leads the way, but Yossi, as soon as I say that, commentator's curse has been spun. There's an Aston Martin round at Tazara. There's a Williams round that's flagging a separate incident. Flopman now leads. Justin in second. Zozel there in third. But immediately, we've got that spectator glitch of lap 2 out of 29. Immediately, if you see a ghosted car ahead of you on lap 1, what do? Don't go for the move. Just be very easy on the brakes down in towards turn number 3. It's that simple.
Not that I'm seeing at the moment. Looks like everything's all right on my screen at the moment. To me, what happened there, Justin and Tudy were getting into quite a nice battle going into turn 3, and what Justin did was broke later, and Tudy obviously tried to match him on that one, not realising that the McLaren in front was obviously on a slower pace, and as a result, he's collided into the back of him, and now F7R are now back in the familiar position of being first and now one at the back. So yours has got the tenacity to get into the points, but it's not going to be the big points all F7R have been needing as Nick Chris getting into a battle. Oh, as there goes Sapala onto the grass.
Yeah, very aggressive. Eagle Jellin as well, having a fight with Sapala, who's actually coming in the pit lane now. Onto lap 2, Flopman leads just in seconds. Zozo there in third. It's very aggressive early on from both an MBR perspective and also an Alpine perspective in terms of Eagle Jellin, who's now lost time on the back of Nick Chris. As a result of that instant, getting closer to track, put in the gravel as well, was the man coming out of turn number 12. But Flopman leads the way. Justin there in second, Zozo there in third. Don't avert your eyes because that is not a 1 minute 21 second gap out on track, as Finn has picked up a 3-second penalty, and Eagle Jellin, I think, has also picked up a 3-second penalty, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Yes, he has. Further down the field, he's already picked one up. Flopman, though, leads. That I can tell you definitely, though, Jota, it's not a 1 minute 21 second gap. It's more than a second gap at the very least, probably more towards a second and a half, already out in front of Flopman.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. 1.5 is the gap between Flopman and Justin at the moment here as he just keeps up the pressure. Will Flopman to try and get the race victory that F7R have been dying to find so far this season. Justin, though, will be very happy with P2 at the moment. And actually, with all due respect to NLR and EPL, you've got two drivers in Belby and Zorzo who aren't typically in this position that high up in the standings here. So the nearest driver to any kind of potential competition to the likes of Justin will probably be Tudy, and he may or may not have got damage as a result of the collision with Yossi earlier on in this race. So keep an eye out, I think, possibly on the likes of Olakongan, who hasn't had a good start himself. He started 5th and he's now down in 7th. So actually, it is turning out to be a little bit, apart from Flopman, of a race for the midfield once again.
Gatkowski, speaking of the midfielders, on the back of Carsey, running down in towards turn number 3. I don't think he's going to go for the move, though, from this far back in toward Whiteford corner. He doesn't. Gatkowski there settles in 15th. Carsey there in 14th. Not looking too bad at all. Flopman, though, leads the way. 1.6 seconds now. The gaps have been updated. He's there in second. Justin, though, the TTM man, is pulling away from Zozo there in third. Nice leaf coverage coming through the right-hander turn number 5 there. Just seeing something getting flecked up by the car. Belby there in 4th. 2D in 5th, then Finn, Volakongan, Rafael, Gabor, and Mateo top 10. Mateo, by the way, started on the set of medium compound tyre, so you would imagine he's going to be one of the quickest in terms of the compound tyre out on track right now. And he might put that to good use because he's now on the back of Gabor, and we saw what happened in the sprint race between them both. Gabor, though, was more interested in the fight with Rafael to the inside line. Gabor coming across aggressively. Mateo doesn't want to go for that move on the outside line. He knows better than that, I think, this time around. Gabor there in 9th, Mateo there in 10th, and lunges it to the inside line, as you would expect from a man that got involved in incident with his rival ahead of him. Now coming through the right under 14. Mateo, though, is he now going to go for the move? He gets a better run coming out of turn number 14, down in towards turn number 1. But Gabor there in 9th will remain as he is. Mateo there in 10th. And I'm actually shocked because I thought Mateo would have made a lot more ground than that.
Yeah, he's just slowly trying to make his road here. Is he going to go for the move potentially around the inside line, around the outside? No, the door firmly shut then for Gabba for Mateo. So Mateo just holding his own on these medium tyres here. A little bit more time to find. Oh, a little bit of a tank slapper well held from Gabba, though, in 9th at the moment here. As Luke in the chat just saying there about the issues with regards to the double and triple penalty situation. So there's a potential, apparently, that this glitch has not been fixed. So Finn and Igor Jella might not actually have penalties. So I'll keep an eye on that one. According to my screen, apparently Finn has got a warning, and then he received another 2 warnings on the second lap, which resulted in the penalty. So we'll keep an eye on it. If that is not the situation, then all is fair warned, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. As it stands so far, though, Zorzo is getting closer to Justin for P2. Belby keeping in touching distance as well. Sector 3, yellow flags waved as Carsey has gone for a spun, and the fan favourite BRT man is now down in 18th with a 24-second gap to Sipalo, and the safety car is out as a result of that one. I'm not sure if that's because of debris on circuit. Yeah, there is no front wing at all on Carsey's car, so I have a feeling that the debris on circuit has brought out the safety car as everyone will dive into the pit lane now, and it looks like we're switching onto a set of medium tyres across the board. Maybe a set of hards potentially for Mateo, I wonder. That could theoretically go to the end, I think.
24 laps on a set of hards. They're going to be very hard to get, very hard, if you pardon the pun, to get to the end of the race. But you may as well try and risk it. I think everyone I think everyone actually that's came in the pit lane are going to be doing a two-stop strategy. Mateo's gone on to a set of softs because I think he thinks there's going to be another safety car in this race around about midway through. And if that is the case, he can go, what, 12 laps, I'm going to say, on that set of softs, and then go for a set of mediums. Everyone in behind, though, has gone on to a set of medium compound tyres. Now, I can definitely tell you, 23, 24 lap mediums are going to get you, what, about 80% tyre wear towards the end of the race, maybe even a little bit higher than that. So, if that is the case, everyone on a set of mediums will have to pit again. Everyone with Mateo has to pit again. Hazara, Sapala, Plaki don't technically have to pit again, but they're on older tyres. Plaki and Sapala don't have an extra set of hard compound tyres, so they might not get to the end of the race either. It's Hazara the ones to watch out for. But I think, honestly, Volokong and Gabor, Nick, Chris, Igor, Jelen, and Ogwin, if there's a safety car in 3 laps' time, when the safety car does come in, and there's another safety car in a few laps' time, this will not look too bad on the 5 that have actually stayed out.
I think actually the alternate, I think actually it would be worse for them if a second safety car came out, because I think for them, especially on the hard tyres, they're going to be matching strategies anyway with the medium and the soft runners behind, because they all need to pit again anyway. So if anything, if they decide to continue on the hard tyre and then move over to a medium, they're only going to be matching the likes of those on the medium and soft tyres. So, you know, you'd expect the likes of Flopman, Justin Zorzo, and all of those that are on the medium tyres to go on to a second set of mediums at the end of this stint. So they're only going to be matching those around them. So actually, Shazoo, CPIE's Igor Jelen, and both of the Novus Racing drivers have brought themselves back into the fight on an alternate strategy because of the safety car. If the second safety car ends up happening, it will extend the medium stint, but it'll also extend the hard. So I'm actually speaking out loud. I'm actually thinking here. They're actually back in this race here. So I think it's actually a good call for them to stay out, you know. Usually you'd say, pit, you might as well, but actually not a bad call from the front 5.
Yeah, definitely not. Kenzie, they're saying in the chat, I know, Jenna, but the commentators are dumb. We're not dumb, first and foremost. That is a bit insulting, if I've got to be honest, from our perspective. But the second thing is, I don't think these tyres are going to get to the end of the race. So I agree with you on that. Mateo will not get that set of soft compound tyres to the end. Anybody in a set of medium compound tyres will not get to the end of the race. I'm saying who could potentially get to the end is Hazara on a set of hards, Sapala on a set of hards, and Plaki on a set of hards. They could be the ones that extend their life stint to, what, 23, 24 laps, which is going to be about 70-odd% tyre wear towards the end. So they can make it. They are more durable, the hard compound tyres, but it's going to be very, very difficult from those guys to get to the end of the race. So I think we could be in the question of, if there's another safety car, is the top 5 going to have a better chance at actually maintaining that position rather than everyone else further down the field? So hopefully everything will be okay. Kenzie, by the way, I am just going to do... Where am I doing? I am going to do that. And there we are. That'll be a lot more peaceful, I'm going to say, in the chat. But the safety car is now going to come in this lap. Volokonga now the virtual Bird Malander. He's now the virtual safety car. And he can play as to however he wants, because Ogwin there is in 5th. Shazuman in 5th position. NVR behind them, 2nd and 3rd, and then you've got Igor Jelen sandwiched in the middle. This could be really tactically interesting, I've got to say, off the safety car restart.
Yeah, but big up the performance there, and you again getting rid of the chatter in the chat there from there, James, on this one. Looking forward to see what the safety car restart occurs. Then, of course, those on the top 5 in the hard tyres will be trying to go the distance here with the medium and the soft tyre stint, looking to try and overtake and obviously put a distance on those on the hards. We'll have to see here as Valokongan has tried to go a little bit earlier on, but he's lost the rear ever so slightly, so he might have lost as much time as that he wanted to gain on Gabba. Gabba getting closer and closer as he has gone, but we are about to go green again. Volokonga not really getting the jump that he wanted on the Novus Racing drivers on this particular occasion. Lap 7 of 29.
Yep, definitely so. Volokonga leading the way, Gabor 2nd, Nick Chris 7th, and already Flopman side by side with Ogwin. Down in towards turn number 1, F7 Armand breezes past him if he's not even there. Job done for him. He's into 5th. Justin there on the back of Ogwin. Ogwin there in 6th, Justin there in 7th. Justin's going to have the fresher tyres to try and make a play. Down in toward Whitefoot corner at turn number 3. Tries to lock up the inside line. Mateo gets the move done on Finn. Just in the background, the shot. Finn's actually back up the inside line there, I think, in the background. But Justin's trying to desperately fight past Ogwin. Pretty much doing bumper cars, I've got to say, coming through the first sector is the Mercedes man of Ogwin. under pressure from Justin, under pressure from Zolzo. This could be hellish running down Lakeside Drive. As speaking of which, Flopman is side by side with Igor Jelen. Breezes past him if he's not even there. Zolzo's very slow in a straight line. He's going to be under pressure from Bell Belby. Justin now around the outside line on Ogween, trying to get the job done through turn number 9. Not often an overtaking spot, but it is for Justin. Inside line, beautiful move on that set of medium compounder tyres. Who said the mediums weren't fresh? Justin through, and he's into second. There goes Flopman for Nick Chris into third and contacts him.
Yeah, it's a collision. I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like a collision potentially with Flopman, I think, against one of the Novus Racing drivers. That's a Gabbers and Nick Chris now leading the two of them here as it stands so far, with Flopman on the medium tyre looking to try and go here. But the issue is Igor Jelen and Justin battling hard side by side through the final corner. Very well taken as they drifted around the final corner there, Justin. And here comes Zeno Alzorzo, who's in a boxing manoeuvre, but he's actually able to get the move done potentially on the CPI driver, now relegated to 6th.
Yeah, nice. Igor Jelen there had to try and find out of the pocket. So did Zolzo. And Zolzo now, to be fair, is going to be under pressure once again from Igor Jelen down the straight towards turn number 3 at Whiteford. And now, going around the outside is Bell Belby, who was on, of course, a podium sitting position earlier on in the season in one of the races in World. And he's now through and he's into 6th. Igor Jelen now is getting absolutely eaten up like speed and an alligator from last night's live stream. Igor Jelen just picked up a 3-second penalty. 2D's now on the back of Matteo. It's not going to be a quadruple overtake, but is he going to go for a twin overtake down the straight? He's going to be boxed in here, just now to the inside line. Nick Chris gets the job done, he's into 3rd. And Matteo there to the inside line, gets the job done. And Igor Jelen hand of rage, and Igor Jelen has been spun. But he's actually rejoined track, and he's back in 9th position. So Matteo gets ahead, but this is aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive out there at the moment. Nick Chris then relegates himself down to 5th and lets Orzo through. So Justin trying to keep within touching distance of Flopman at the moment. Of course, no DRS enabled just yet here, but Volakongan will be thinking, right, what do I do here? Do I try and hold on to the position, or do I consider the long-term strategy here? Because, of course, the medium tyres are going to fall off. So ideally, Volakongan, you need to try and keep them back as long as you can for your team. His teammate, on the other hand, down in 12th, make that 13th as Yossi now promotes himself up to 12th. Flopman getting closer and closer. Again, the traction out of turn 1. There's so much grip on these mediums versus the hard here. Straight over to the racing line. There's Nick Chris getting into a battle. Bell Belby up to 5th as Flopman promotes himself up to 1st.
Yeah, and that was a huge mistake from Nick Chris. Coming out of turn number 1, Bell Belby absolutely on it, coming out of the corner. Job done for him down and towards turn number 3. Through and he's into 5th. And those set of medium compounder tyres, for now, short term, are definitely working. Longer term, however, they are going to be shot towards the end, and they will definitely not get to the end of the race either. As Volakongan, your Oldia was for that 3-second penalty that he's just picked up, and now he's under pressure. Could be another Oldia here for Justin on the outside line of Volakongan. In towards turn number 9, gets blocked in by Flopman. Still goes around the outside line. 2 in 2 for Justin there, coming through turn number 9. Beautiful move on him, and he's through and he's into 2nd. As 2D is spun. Coming through the chicane at turns 9 and 10. He is round. I think he's got the car back going again at the back end of the field. But 2D is round. Not sure if there was damage. Nick Chris as well having to fend off Matteo, who I think has just gone around the outside. And now Finn is round. All kicking off in here in Australia. And we're only on lap 9.
Would you believe now as well, as a result of that one, the top 8 are all in different teams as well. It's absolutely immaculate out there at the moment for what it's going to happen in the standings as a result. It's going to be such a mixed bag, but Justin looking to try and close down the gap on Flopman for a potentially an opportunity, as we do have, I believe, a safety car now again for the 2nd time in this race. The top 7 are all in different teams. Yose managing to make the 8th car the duplicate, if you will, with the Flopman in 1st, with Yose down in 8th for F7R. Igor Jelen in 9th, and Dan J rounding out the top 10. I'm not sure what the safety car or what caused that particular safety car, but the person that's going to be able to benefit from that one initially anyway will be Finn, because he was so far back, he was able to get back into the pits and leave immediately on the old set of hard tyres that I believe he started on.
Yeah, definitely so. Obviously, it's going to be really interesting now with the safety car deployed out on track. I think Ogwing crashed coming through the final corner. If I'm not mistaken, it looked like he was actually trying to bail into the pit lane to try and recover. But in the end, he's down there in, 20th position, out of the race, and very unfortunate from his perspective. Flopman leads the way, Justin in 2nd, Volakongan in 3rd, Zozel there in 4th, Bell Belby, then Matteo, Nick Chris, Yossi, Igor, Jelen, Dan J, top 10, as Ogwing there's left the session. Gatkowski, Raphael, Hazara, Carsi, Sapala, top 15, then it's Placky, Gabor, 2D, and Finn, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th position. So 19 drivers still continuing on out on track. Howard saying in the chat, it's great racing. It's not.
Yeah.
We have seen much better racing than this. Not only in other leagues, not only here in Legacy Division. These guys can behave better. I want an engineering call going out there right now from every single engineer that might be watching this live stream. Definitely to put out a call to their drivers and say, right, you've got to act clean. You've got to act like you really mean this. You've got to act like how you want to perform out on track. Because this, from our perspective, is frankly unacceptable. We do not want to see the best of the best here on console making contact on a very aggressive track here in Australia, albeit not making contact here, there, and everywhere. We want to see some really clean battles. So I hope, lap 11 out of 29, this is the turning point in the race, and I hope there's no more contact from here on in. If there is contact coming on in, we're going to beat Miami in terms of the how many with steward reports that we got.
I think in that set of pit stops, by the way, it looks like Flopman got caught up in the traffic because he's now actually behind the likes of Justin and Volakongan. I think Volakongan obviously was just ahead anyway, but in the final, Flopman actually made the overtake, didn't he? So he's ended up being caught up by people in the pit lane. So the soft tyres now on for Flopman and the soft tyres on for Justin as well. So I'm wondering if Plaque is not going to hold him up too harsh at the end of this safety car period, because he's obviously going to be the lead driver of those that have pitted. Alternative situation though for Zorzo and Gatkowski have all elected to stay out on the same set of mediums from the first safety car stint, and EPL have left both of their drivers out as well. Belbelby in second with Raphael in fourth. ET8 have got Hazara in fifth on the hard tyres from the first safety car, and Sipala is on the same on the set of hard tyres that I believe he pitted back onto as a result of the second safety car, with Plaque on the hard tyres from the first safety car as well, I believe, and Justin obviously the first of the runners that have all made a pit stop. So real mixed bag out there at the moment, isn't it? It's very difficult to try and comprehend what's going on out there, but as it stands so far, NLR are now leading this race from L Plan Racing Team from the Cedar Phoenix Igniters. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, definitely so. Kenzie's still going on about his rampage of me looking like a random YouTuber or Twitch streamer or whatever you like to call it these days. Definitely don't look like him, and if I do want to look like him, I'll probably change into him. But there we are. I'm happy with how I am. Zoza leads the way. Belbelby in second. Gatkowski there in third as Placky is into the pit lane. I would assume this will be for a set of medium compound tyres. 18 laps on a set of mediums is going to be very tough towards the end of the race. We can only make sure that the mediums get, what, 12, 13 laps? He's going to go on, though, set of soft compound tyres. It's probably because, more than anything, he hasn't got enough tyres left to try and get to the end of the race. Enough fresh tyres, that is, on that set of mediums to try and get toward the end of the race. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Zozo leads the way. Gatkowski now in second. Belbelby in third. Not sure if there was a bit of a change-up. And Gatkowski's letting Raphael through. What on earth is going on here? Gatkowski, Belbelby. Gatkowski's now got an illegal overtake on Raphael. So EPL, I'm not saying they've cheated their way to second and third, but the game has cheated themselves into second and third because Gatkowski's had a double illegal overtake.
Yeah, what a mess in that one. I think in that scenario, the right thing to do would be for Raphael to go onto the grass and let Gatkowski have that position back. And he is trying to do so, but the way you've got to do it is by getting your car on the grass. The issue is that we're on a part of a circuit where there isn't any. So what now Raphael will have to do is now try and hope, fingers crossed, to let him back through here. It looks like Gatkowski's actually weaving on track to say thank you. Yeah. I'm not sure if the position's been given, but by the looks of things, I think we are all good and the status quo has returned. So that's really good stuff here. Safety car end of this lap, and we are in for another restart at the end of this one before we have another safety car lap 17.
Yeah, I think we're going to get another safety car on this race. Absolutely guaranteed. Zoza leads the way. Belbelby second. Gatkowski there in third. And it's now Zoza, that's the virtual bird manager. He's now the virtual safety car. And compared to Flopman's start in the sprint, he is not going early. He's going to leave this as late as possible, just to try and figure out what Justin Volakonga, Matteo, Flopman, those further down the field are going to do in terms of their tyres. They'll be quicker on those tyres, but there'll also be a hell of a lot more carnage further down the field than there is at the top end of the field. Zoza now leads the way, coming through the final corner at turn 14. Now on the run to the line, we go back to green flag racing onto lap 13 out of 29, as Justin now looks to the inside line, and Sapala already in towards turn 1. Set a soft compound tyres on that car. Fresh as a daisy. He's through and he's into 6th. He's going to be through and he's into 5th. Very soon indeed, as Igor Jelen there's retired into the pit lane. Just now on the back of Hazara in towards turn number 3. Round the outside of the right corner. Like taking candy from an Aston Martin baby. EPL certainly not going to be happy now with Justin being in P4. He is absolutely mincing his way through the field.
Yeah, he's flying, but the soft tyres won't go the distance. Of course, he will have to pit again at some point, but he'll be matching that of the medium tyres. Oh, mistake from Raphael's going to leave him exposed here for Justin, who's going to make the easy overtake potentially around the outside then of the right-hander. Before going into the left, he'll have the inside line and makes that move done and dusted. Be wise to use a little bit of overtake just to make sure that's definitely 100% done. Gets in front of the of EPL's Raphael, and he's now up to 4th. He's flying out there.
Matteo looking on the back of Sapala as well, coming out of the chicane. He's now going to try and get the job done. Out of the corner, have to really jink his car one way, then the other, now the other way to the inside line. In towards turn of 11. Matteo this time around, no NVR man on the inside line of him. Job done for Matteo. He's through and he's into 8th. Flopman into 9th as well. And Sapala, running off the top 10, is dropping all the way through the field as Justin now is on the back of Gatkowski. Speaking of which, he's around the outside of Gatkowski at the final corner. Brilliant move, brilliant spatial awareness as well. Coming through that final corner from both of them. Justin Thuney's into 3rd. Gatkowski there in 4th. Not sure if my pep talk has done anything in this race, but this race has suddenly picked up, and it's for the better.
Yes, absolutely flying out there. Is Justin. He's looking for another move as well. He's using a lot of overtake. He's going to go for the dive. He's so confident on the brakes. It's the TTM man as he looks to try and get to 2nd place. Belby kindly leaves him the space. He'll have to be on the inside line, but around the outside line once again. 3 in a row for Justin. He's to 2nd. He's flying.
3 in 3 for Justin, now out on track here in the safety car restart, and now he's got Zulls away 10th up the road, and he is going to be a hell of a lot quicker compared to him in a straight line as well, so this might be done down in towards turn of 11, but now he's having to really bring the gear around. Gatkowski and Belby are side by side. Belby's now boxed in on the outside line through turn number 9. Gatkowski unsettles the car, and that is Belby through and he's into 3rd. But he might have picked up a warning potentially in all of that as well. Gatkowski there in 4th, and now here comes the Norwegian to the inside line of Volakonga. Where on earth does he come from in all of this? He gets the job done. He's into 4th. Hazara there dropping down the field behind Raphael. Also drops down the field for Dan, Jay and Gabor. Swapping positions 14th and 15th. But Zozo leads the way. Justin there in 2nd, and Justin has got this move down in towards turn number 1. This is the overtake now for the race lead. Surely this is the time, this is the place. TTM Justin for the lead of the race, down in towards turn number 1. Zozo turns in on him, and there's contact on. This is causing all sorts of mayhem. What on
It's an absolute mess there from Gatkowski. Gatkowski rather looking, trying to make an overtake on Volakonga. TTM Justin was looking so confident on there, and maybe a collision there it is. Well, it's 7.5. Flopman is out. It's a collision everywhere. Virtual safety car is out as a result of all the debris on the circuit at turn 3. It is absolute mess out there. Volakonga leading this race now from Gatkowski. Justin, I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't have at least some kind of damage as a result of that collision with Zorzo. They just a bang of wheels that just led them both connecting, and then people behind just crashed straight into the back of them, and a full safety car, a called lap 17. It's lap 15 for the 3rd safety car of this race here, and there will be questions that the stewards are going to be sending to all of the drivers tonight, because the racing standards have been not fair to middling, but poor to shocking.
No, honestly, the drivers have, well, not the drivers have been shocking, the driving standards have been absolutely shocking out on track, I've got to say. Here tonight, James saying in the chat, I think I fully agree with him on this. The best drivers in the game? Yeah, they've got to have a real good, hard look at themselves, is what I will say now. Out on track, it's very unfortunate. Volakongan leading the way, Gatkowski 2nd, Justin there in 3rd. Justin, all of that spawned from Justin inside line on Raphael, I think it was.
You're joking me.
He stays out. Does Justin, now in the lead of the race he will be. Everyone else is filtering into the pit lane. Gatkowski, Hazara's leading at the back of Gatkowski there into the pit lane. But everyone else is in. Justin now leads the way out on track.
Why would you do that?
All of that spawned from, though, Jota, is Justin, that inside line, in towards turn number 1, attempting to go for the move. Zozo being 3/4 of a car length ahead, down in towards turn number 1, and Justin not acting on his instinct to go for that move. All of that was him to blame, in my eyes.
Well, again, we're going to be of a difference of opinion on this one. I do think Zorzo's got to take some level of responsibility for almost turning in on the Williams like he wasn't there. But at the same time, I just think what happened there was both of the drivers weren't exactly sure what they were trying to do. Was Zorzo going to give the position? Was he not? Was Justin going to go for the move? Was he not? Justin has got that confidence in the car, but as soon as he came to potentially taking the lead of the race, he just didn't seem to have that confidence at that point. So I think there's a little bit of a mixed bag between the pair of them that they have to take equal responsibility for. One thing that I am absolutely gobsmacked by is the fact they've not brought Justin in. He's on 5-lap old soft tyres around Australia. They will not go the distance. There's 13 laps left in this race. Gabber is now back in second place on the set of medium tyres, albeit with a penalty. Finn and Valakongan on soft tyres that probably won't go the distance either. So we've got plenty of drivers out there that could go the distance. Placky and Gabber are probably the only drivers that could probably go the distance as it stands so far. Placky probably more than likely from those in the top 10 as it stands. It's a mess, isn't it? I think the strategies at the moment are just the epitome of what the driving standards have been in this race. And the bottom line is that there's going to be some serious questions to be asked of the teams. And what we've got to look for in the next race is just a little bit of calm. Flotman out of this race. He leaves the session, and his only teammate and his teammate down in 8th at the moment on a fresh set of soft tyres has got to try and get the best that they can for F7R, because it's been a race of what ifs, I think, for a lot of drivers out there tonight. Lap 17 of 29.
And I'm going to say it now, and I'll say it again, we're going to get another safety car in this race. One lap 17 out of 29, and the driving standards, let's face it, has been nothing short of a 5-lap open lobby, is what I can definitely say. And that, from my perspective and your perspective, Joseph, we commentate on the best of the best. We have been there, commentating over top tiers in numerous divisions. We did Friday, of course, at WOR Console Tier 1, for example. Yeah. We deserve better driving standards than that. Austria was absolutely brilliant in terms of a race on Friday. Kyle Pearson taking the race win, taking the championship even out on track. Fantastic win from his perspective. But in the end, that race was very, very strong. And in the end, this race here is more akin to Baku, where we had so many incidents, I think, in that race. It's what Legacy Division deserves. It's better quality racing, better quality driving, and the first and foremost, it comes on the drivers to do that. And if they can't drive clean, then what on earth are they doing here? I'll be honest. Justin leads the way, Gabor second, Volokogan in third. Go on.
Valid point actually coming in from Luke in the chat saying Justin might not have enough tyres, which actually is a fair point considering the amount of safety cars we've got. Safety cars coming in at the end of this lap. Considering the number of safety cars we've had, there is a fair point that actually Justin might not have enough tyres, which means he's probably only got one set of new softs left. So by staying out, he's going to hope for a fourth safety car in the hope that he's going to be able to take the next set of softs to the end of this race. But he's going to have to hold back Gabber, who's probably going to be on the slightly better tyre at this point, if not a crossover period, as it is imminent between the soft and the mediums. And of course, Valakonga, Getkaski, Hazara, Matteo, and Yossi are going to be flying on the new set of softs. Either way, he's leading from the front. It's the third different person to start this race. Of course, fourth if you include the other safety car in the sprint race, and he'll be leading from the front. Let's see when he decides to go.
Cameron's dad, by the way, in the chat, the commentators are the cleanest in the race. I agree. Justin leads the way in towards turn 13. Now at the left-hand of Senna, then in towards Frost at turn number 14. And he's got the car back going again. But watch out for everyone on that set of soft compound tires. Volokongan is like a lightning shot on the back of Gabor, running down in towards turn number 1. And we've been in this situation before where Gabor's made a little bit of contact with Matteo in the sprint. Is he going to do the same thing to Volokongan, or is Volokongan simply just going to have the better tyres to get this move done? Maybe down the straight in towards turns 9 and 10. Justin leads the way. Gabor there in second, Volokongan there in third. Everyone is clean through in the background. As soon as I say that, Belby launches a one on Zozo in towards turn number 3. Tries to get the job done. Now gets the switch back on the outside line through turn number 5. Not quite, but he is there pitching in terms of lakeside drive, potentially for that move as Gabor is right on the back of the lead of Justin. Goes to the outside line now. The NVR man takes the lead for the first time in the race. Volokongan is going to swiftly try and follow through here as well. Justin pulls the outside line, comes across there on Volokongan slightly just to try and make sure he covers him into the braking zone. Has a huge slide coming through the corner. This is Volokongan's position until the cats come home. Surely the tyres are completely gone. They're overheating, and Volokongan now to the inside line is going to put that to pace to the inside line of 11, trying to get the job done. Now until the right hand for turn number 12 will turn the timing tower off, but in the end Justin holds on, and Volokongan might be thinking, right, I'm not going for this, but somebody that is further down the field is Matteo. He's doing his into fifth, and Hazara now dropping down the field. Hazara's now got pressure from Yossi in behind.
Yeah, inch perfect at the moment between Justin and Volakonga, but I'm expecting there's going to be a collision between the pair of them if they decide not to leave enough space here as he goes for the dive. And Justin, fair play to him, says he's not going to go for any kind of further moves. He knows he's on the worst tyre. He's just going to hold on for P3 in the hope that Gatkowski's not going to put too much pressure on him. Here he comes then down the inside line. Oh, goes for the late breaker, and it goes early breaker instead, as Gatkowski will stay in 4th place. Mateo and Hazara happy to for 5th and 6th at the moment, especially considering how their sprint race went. They'll be hoping to make some inroads here and hope for a fourth safety car in the hope that he can potentially switch on to another set of soft tyres. Oh, Gatkowski's got to be very careful about Justin. Of course, he's on old soft tyres here, as we do have someone else in the wall here. We're going to have another safety car potentially result here. I wonder here. Nick Chris in the collision with Sipala. Down the outside line, though, there he will go. Then will Gatkowski, as will Volakonga. Then on Gabba, Volakonga and Shazoo will now lead this race. Gatkowski around the outside line on Justin. Justin relegated to 4th.
Justin now has got a taste of his own medicine there from completing the moves earlier on in the race. And here comes Matteo to the outside line and towards turn 11. Where have we seen this one before? Can he try and get the job done? Just on the inside line. Beautiful move from Matteo. That is perfect from Matteo. That's what he should have done against Gabor if he had the tyres. He didn't in the end. He's into 4th. And Nazara now coming right down the inside line on Justin. Very aggressive move there, but he gets the move done. He's into 5th. He's on the fresher tyres. It probably would be the case where Hazara would have got past anyways. Yossi there into 6th. Justin there down in 7th. This race getting aggressive, but hopefully for the first time in the race I can say, breathe, everyone. Breathe. Volakongan leads. Gabor 2nd. Gatkowski 3rd. Matteo 4th. And Nazara ran off the top 5. Simba, by the way. Belbelby as well on the back of Zulzo. Oh, inside line! Can he get the car stopped? No. Never getting that one stopped. I mean, Fernando Alonso would have been happy with his braking system in 2015, but Belbelby there on the back needed to have a better braking system in towards turn number 3. In the end, though, couldn't get the move done on the back of Zulzo. Zulzo 30's into 10th, Belbelby in 11th, Tudi there in 12th. And for the first time in the race, we can say calm, but as soon as I say that, Gatkowski's going around the outside of Gabor.
Oh, wow, that's an easy move done and dusted. Then Gatkowski looking to try and get another race victory here for the CD Phoenix Igniters against Volakonga, who's looking fairly sharp here. Shazoo need this as well at the moment to try and defend their championship lead at the moment. Now, thankfully for them, their nearest rivals in ETX are only 4th and 5th as it stands. But if they keep on making the inroads that they are here, they're going to be earning a good chunk of points and actually taking it out of Volakonga and Team Shazoo. Zorzo, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Remember, Volakonga's got a 3-second penalty to his name, we think, which means as it stands so far, CD Phoenix Igniters will be on for their 2nd race win of the season. Novus Racing's Gabba also with a 3-second time penalty as well, which will bring both of the ET8 boys up to 4th and 5th and Yossi up to 6th as well. So as it stands so far, there's going to be big points heading the way of ET8, but it might just be enough.
Mateo, oh my God!
It's so late on Mateo and Gabba. Gabba really shutting the door on Mateo, but in that standard there, Mateo deciding to, in the end, not to fight too hard, stays in 4th. He knows 3rd place is definitely his as it stands so far with that time penalty. Doesn't want to put too much pressure and lose any more time than he needs to. Here he comes.
I think Matteo has to get this job done down Lakeside Drive, otherwise Gabor's just going to be forcing him off the track at every single point on the track. Gabor there now in 3rd, Matteo there in 4th. But that forceful move off the track onto the grass was unacceptable as Finn has crashed out of the race, coming through turn number 6, and that is another safety car right on track. And I think, thank God for that from Matteo's perspective, because there could have been contact between him and Gabor if they weren't careful. Volakongan leads, Gatkowski 2nd, Gabor there in 3rd, Matteo there in 4th, Hazara there in 5th, and Yossi, Justin, Flacky, Dan J, Zulzo top 10, Belbelby, 2D, Corsi, Nick Chris and Tapala top 15. At least one thing that we can say for certain right now, Jota, everyone currently going on the race is currently scoring points.
Yeah, well, Justin is back in this race now as a result of that. 10-lap old softs are definitely falling off a cliff now, so he'll be coming in for a set of softs. Everyone else will be. Gabba is now back in this race as well, of course, on those old medium tyres that would have probably gone a little bit further on into lap 25, 26.
Mateo stays out.
He'd have been in a good position, but Mateo is staying out. He thinks he can get the soft tyres to the end of this race, which is a bold call. I think he was just trying to avoid a double stack potential with Azara.
He was ahead,
That's the reason why he's trying to take the risk, but he was ahead. So I'm wondering what ET8's plan is there in that one, but everyone's switching on to a set of soft tyres. Justin is stayed out on the same set of soft tyres that are now 11 laps old. I don't know what. That must mean he is now completely out of tyres. I thought he might have had an extra set of softs, but I don't think he does. So that will be it for TTM. He has to go the distance, which it might be able to, considering he's had 2 safety car periods behind them. Volakongan is in 3rd from Gatkowski. Both of the Novus Racing drivers are now 5th and 6th out of all of this one, but Nick Chris is on old soft tyres with Hazara in 7th, Dozzy in 8th with Sepala in 9th and Plaque rounding out the top 10. So it's just a bit of a mixed bag at the moment, to say the least. But the top 5 are all in different teams, and Novus are going to be earning probably the most points out of all of them because, of course, they're in close proximity as regards to the constructors. But it's just a mixed bag out there, isn't it?
4 words for you in the chat. What is this race? Matteo leads the way from Justin second, Volakongan in third. I'm sitting, if you saw me on camera right now, I'm sitting with my head literally in my hands, wondering what the hell is going to happen next. Matteo leads the way, Justin second, Volakongan in third. Mark saying in the chat he's got no new softs. And Tyler's message in the chat, looks like Justin potentially has got damage as well on that car. If not, didn't want to hold Placky, so that might be the case where, unless I'm reading that wrong, it might be Justin that has got damage there in second on the back of Matteo. But Matteo leads the way, Justin second, Volakongan in third. Everyone's on a set of soft compounder tyres, bar Sepala. You've got to feel sorry for Sepala. He's on a set of medium compounder tyres. They are older medium compounder tyres. They're on 9-lap-old mediums. Justin's into the pit lane. Sepala is going to follow in as well. So I was going to say he's going to continue on. Justin is in. Nick Chris is into the pit lane, interestingly, as well. From an older set of softs, he is into the pit lane. Whether or not he goes on to another set of softs, that was a different thing. Justin into the pit lane. What is his tyres? Front wing change going on. Set of soft compounder tyres, which he did have. So the fresh set of soft compounder tyres is on. He's going to come out of the pit lane very soon. Sepala also coming out of the pit lane. I think he has also had damage potentially there. He is there down in 15th position on that set of softs. At least they're on a fresh compounder tyre. Matteo, though, is a sitting duck out in front. Volakongan in second. Gatkowski there in third. At this point, I think Gatkowski potentially could have this race, but God knows what's going to happen. I mean, Yossi's been so far down the field. My prediction for the race winner is still on here.
You know what? It's been one of those. It's one of those races where there's going to be a lot of learnings taken from a lot of people, not just within the racing world, but I think within the admin world as well, to try and get an understanding of what we need to do to calm things down, slow the people down, and just try and understand exactly what we need from them. But as it stands, you know, everyone is going to be in for the points as it stands anyway, regardless of what happens. Fair play to TTM, by the way, for keeping Justin out in that circumstance. He did have a set of soft tyres available at his disposal to avoid getting the being caught, held up, or holding Placky up, who is now up to 7th as a result of that one. So yeah, fair point actually made there. I think you referenced it earlier from I believe it was Tyler in the chat as well, in there as well. So here we are, safety car coming in at the end of this lap. Everyone in for a mixed bag here. It will be a 5-lap sprint to the end of this race. At the end of this lap, there'll be 5 laps to go. Excuse me, Matteo is on the oldest set of soft tyres out there, but albeit now 3 laps have been behind the safety car. Remember, though, he is the PSG LF1 champion as of yesterday, so if you can trust anyone on an old set of tyres, it's going to be him. Let's see what he does, and let's see what he cooks in what is effectively no longer a burnt food, but now he's cooking in a burnt pan. 5 laps to go. Here we go.
He is going to be cooking in a burnt pan after this one, that's for sure. Matteo, though, has got all sorts of trouble in behind him with Volakongan, Gatkowski, Gabor on a fresh set of softs. For me, Matteo's got no chance. Despite him being champion last night, he's got no chance. Yossi to the exit line of Zara, thinking down the straight in towards turn number 1. That would have been a very reckless move, and we tried to pull that one off. Tries to get the job done now. Coming out of turns 2 and now in towards right for corner at turn number 3. Hazara there on the back of Gabor, though, looking to the inside line, hunting on the back of the NVR man. He doesn't get the job done. Hazara there in 5th, and now the car park begins, quite literally through the car park. Through turns 4 and 5, Matteo leading the way, Volakongan in second, Gatkowski there from 17 positions gained, by the way, right down at the back end of the field. He's gained 16 for now. Matteo's gained 11. Volakongan's only gained 3. Volakongan now is in them for the fight, and he goes for the race lead now on the inside line in towards turn number 9. Matteo's going to have to forfeit the positions here. Gatkowski there gets the job done. Thuni's into second. Matteo has to forfeit the positions. He knows it's not his fight. Yossi there picked up a 3-second penalty as well. He's now on the back of Azara, run up the hill, in towards turn number 11. Is he going to find to the inside line? No, doesn't risk it, and the Swiss man still in 6th position behind Azara.
Gatkowski happy to just hang on to the back of Volakongan as it stands at the moment, because of course he will win this race. Will Gatkowski after penalties are applied? Now we're assuming that is a 3-second penalty on the case there, as we've got a real strong battle happening between Azara and Gabba. Through there, I thought there'd have been a massive spin out there. Yossi's still in there for a 3-wide moment. He elects to tuck him behind. Hazara in 5th, Gabba in 4th.
Breathe, breathe. You're back at Hazara. Hazara there in fifth, Gabor there in fourth. Jill still trying to fend off the attention of the Yite man. There he goes to the inside line, in towards turn number 3, wide for corner. He hasn't got the car length ahead low to pull off the move. Hazara could have been there on the brakes. He wasn't in the end. He's back there in P5. Gabor there in P4. Daniel Kelton, a fellow Norwegian there, by the way, in the chat saying the sprint has also ruined it. Potentially so, but I think the standards of driving in this feature race has ruined it more than anything else. Volokongan leads the way. Gatkowski second, Gabor there in third. Here he is on the back of Matteo. Matteo is a sitting duck, as I mentioned. Yossi, as well as on the back of Hazara, in towards turn number 9. Wow. This could be a brilliant move around the outside. Oh, and it is! Yossi has pulled off best move of the season so far, here in Australia at least. That's the best race of the move. The best move of the race even. Yossi Thuni's into 5th. Hazara 6th. Flacky there in 7th. That's what Yossi can do if you give him a bit of room.
Yeah, give him a bit of room and he will go, give him an inch and he will go a mile, will Yossi. He's absolutely flying out there at the moment on these soft tyres, and now he's going to try and make an overtake on Matteo. Of course, 9 lap old soft tyres are not going the distance at all. It should be an easy overtake with the DRS open, and the overtake being used on both of the drivers, so no inroad being made here. No DRS, sorry, of course, until the beginning of this section here, where the DRS will then be enabled. Here they come then, if you have, pardon me, it's in the next DRS zone when it will be enabled, so Yossi will stick back, I suspect, unless he goes for the dive. No. Collide there and Matteo squeezed, but he will stay on the track. So the move potentially is still on there, but Yossi up to 4th place. He's trying to get onto the podium, but look who's in the podium position as it currently stands at the moment. It's Volokongan, Gatkowski and Gabba. Only one has not got a time penalty on his name, and that is the Cedar Phoenix Igniters, who are on for their 2nd race win of the season. 3 to go.
And Matteo's got to give that position back potentially as well. He's going to be under so much pressure because Placky is now trying to box in Hazara. Hazara's on the outside line there, having to fend off Dan J, who gets his first mention in this race, by the way. Haven't even seen him through this race, and now he could get a double overtake if he's not careful. Run up the hill now and towards 10-11. On the back of the Aston Martin, tries to get the job done around the outside through 10-11. Job done for Dan J. Shuley, job done for him. He's through, and he's into 2-7. Trying to go around the outside of Matteo, can't, gets the switch back, round the outside of turn number 14. Oh, he's just absolutely clean centered. How on earth he's recovered that, I do not know. Hazara's now going to get a triple overtake that in towards 10-1. I wish we had the helicopter cam for that. Dan J to the inside line, hangs on. Hazara there in 7th, Matteo there in 8th. There's a spinner, I think, in the background just in this round coming through turn number 1, and that is not going to be a safety goal. On lap 27 out of 29, box in effect for ETA. Volokongan leads, Gatkowski 2nd, Gabor there in 3rd. This race is currently going Gatkowski's way. Carsey to the inside line and Zozo. All aggressive fighting in the mid-pack. A bit of ghosting going on there. This race has had everything.
I'm just trying to add up all the time at the moment. If I'm right in saying if Abel Belby can keep within touching distance here of Hazara, they might still be in El Plan Racing Team with a podium opportunity. It depends on that gap at the end here, because they're all in close proximity. And look, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th all have got time penalties to their name as well. Through 6 seconds on Gabba at the moment, actually, for that matter. So he's definitely off of the podium as it stands. This is going to be one hell of a mix now over the next couple of laps. Is Gatkowski going to look for the move on Volokongan? He will not. He will stay in 2nd place. I think he'll be happy just to take after the tumultuous event of this race, I think he'd be happy just to take the race victory as a result of time penalties. That's for certain.
Definitely so. 2 laps to go. Fasten your seatbelt. I don't know what's going to happen. Josser doesn't know what's going to happen. And to hell, you guys don't know what's going to happen either. Volokongan leads the way. Gatkowski in 2nd. Gabor there in 3rd. On the back of Zolzo, on the back of Matteo in towards 10-1. Not going to get the move done. But Zapala is. Tooney as well is going to be under pressure from Nick Chris, and Nick Chris gets the job done. Tooney's into turn number 1. Really nicely pulled off there by the NLR team, and also by Nick Chris to the inside line. Tooney now sitting back in behind, trying to think of what is going to go on. Zozo to the inside line, gets Matteo through, and he's into turn number 3. That's what Matteo should have done. If he didn't want to give up that position in the end, he didn't, so that'll be a penalty coming his way. So Paula Tooney's into 11th, Matteo in 12th, Nick Chris in 13. Volokongan leads. Down Lakeside Drive for the final time. And all that ghosting going on, but Gatkowski pulls alongside, breezes to the race lead, and now this is game time for Gatkowski. He leads the way, and CPI could be on their first win in ages.
Yeah, it's going to be the second win of the season as it stands so far. They're absolutely flying out there. This will be the second win of the season. Last win that they had, the Cedar Phoenix Igniters, if I remember correctly, was actually down in round 7, which I believe was Miami. No, was it not? No, it wouldn't be Miami. It would have been Las Vegas where they won the race, wasn't it? After that intense race that happened earlier on in the season. But Gatkowski leads the way, and all of the 5 drivers behind him have got time penalties to his name. So if he loses at least 1 or 2 positions, he's still going to have the race victory in his hands here. So the last lap of this race, lap 29 of 29, finally, after 4 safety cars, we're going to get a conclusion to this race. And here it comes, Belby, who's getting into the back now of this DRS train, and he's going to be in for some big points here for the Alpine Racing team on what is going to be a good couple of races for the team at the back of the grid.
And at the minute, he's 2.6 seconds behind Volokong, and I've got the gap to the leader on just so you can see where Belby and Hazara is in relation to the guys ahead. Currently, Hazara's borderline podium. Belby's currently in second, but they're now borderline 3.1 seconds, and they're dropping off the back of Danjay, dropping off the back of Placky, running down the straight for the final time. Volokongan is going to have to try and use up all of his battery, all of his nous, all of his experience in league racing to try and get this move done on the back of Gatkowski, having very good closing speed, but he's not going to get the job done in towards turns 9 and 10. Nick Chris is through on Sapala in towards turns 9 and 10, but that is Gatkowski making a huge mistake. Volokongan now has got the move. Volokongan surely is going to have to move for the race lead. Gabor now to the outside line. All of this race now, all of a sudden, is taking apart. Volokongan makes his own mistake. He's in the gravel. Gabor now leads. Yossi now in second. Yossi could still be on for this race win. This is unbelievable. Gatkowski there hanging on for Grim life. Coming through the final couple of corners, it's going to be the NVR man of Gabor. Who would have thought this on the final lap? Gabor to the line. It's going to win, but it's Gatkowski who wins overall. Belby will get second, and Hazara will get third in the end. All of that chopped and changed, and the gap between Hazara and Yossi, who was the first first penalty scorer across the line, 0.3 of a second separating them out on track. Gatkowski wins, Belby second, Hazara third. We need a lead out, a lie down.
We need a lie down, and we need a breather, and we need all the oxygen on the planet to try and recover from that race. That was absolutely unbelievable. And in the end, it will be a Cedar Phoenix Igniters with a second race win of the season. The first one appearing at Las Vegas at round 7. It happens again, round 12 in Australia. And what a race indeed it is for Gatkowski, and what a driver he is going to be in the long term to keep it clean and keep it nice and tidy, nice and cool and nice and easy for that race victory. And a solid second place in the end, though, from the Alpine Racing team. Belby screaming to second place, and then third place for Hazara, who would have want to know how the hell he's managed to get himself on the podium after all of that one as well. The Norwegian will be happy with that one for sure. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked. We need to. I can't wait for the interviews, because we're going to be having some serious conversations with some people here tonight. What a mad one!
Definitely so. Carsey saying points in his last race as well on Discord. Congratulations to him. End up, I think, just inside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. CPI though first, EPL second. God knows what that does to the championship. Luke's going to have an absolute field day in terms of the standings. Gatkowski wins from 19th on the grid. 19th on the grid. Up to first. That's how mad this race was. Belby there in second, Hazara there in third, Yossi fourth, with Placky there in fifth, Volokongan in sixth, Danjay in seventh, Gabor there all the way down in P8 from crossing the line in the lead, all the way down in P8 in the end, Carsey there in P9, 2D top 10, then it's Nick Chris in 11th, Matteo 12th, Sapala 13th, Zozo 14th, Justin 15th, Finn, Flopman, Raphael, Eagle, Jelen, Ogween, all ended up at various stages of the race DNFing. But it is that man there, Gatkowski, who takes the race win in the end. Fantastic from his perspective. But Avatar, I think, has just mentioned that. Probably one of the worst races I think I've ever seen in Legacy Division.
Yeah, it's one of the, when it comes to racing standards, it was one of the worst races I think we've seen in Legacy, and there's a lot of learnings have got to be taken, especially considering going into the next round of the race, it's going to be the big question mark, isn't it? No one knows what track we're going to be at next week, and that is going to add a layer of complexity to the race as well. So we've really got to take some learnings from this one as a team, and we've got to work together to try and improve the racing standards on that one. But I believe, if I'm right in saying at the moment, the standings have been updated, or they're about to be updated or finished being updated. Shazua still leading this championship, but ET8 have cut the gap down to 29 points as a a result of that Hazara third place. And and in the end of that one as well, Novus Racing are down 60 points behind Team Shazoo, and F7 are 83 points behind as a result of that. And what a race indeed for CPI, who have got themselves off of 9th and they're now up to 8th. They've overtaken the Bunker Racing team. The gap between them now 2 points.
Yeah, definitely so. EPL Gota there in the chat being said. How many incidents? I don't know. Gakaski unfortunately has got to go, so we're not going to be hearing from our race winner, at least out on track here tonight. Hazara, though, is going to be available for an interview. He'll be joining the waiting room in due course, but what we can do is run you through what's going to be happening next week. If you thought Australia was bad, I think next week will be even worse. My good vibes going to Portugal, because I'm having to draw these out of a hat, apparently, as I read on Discord earlier on. It is April 30th next week. It is, of course, round 13, and it will be the track that is revealed on the stream. And how I'm going to do this is going to be literally drawing out of a hat, which I will show on camera. We'll have the cameras on back next week, and we will draw them out of a hat, and I think it's the last one that comes out of the hat is the actual track rather than being the first. So I'm hoping I don't rig it and put Portugal on all 10 slips of paper and it actually ends up being Portugal.
I'm just absolutely gobsmacked still. I'm just trying to recover after that one, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what we've just witnessed. So let's just try and break down exactly what we witnessed from that particular race, if you don't mind, just for a second. Oh, by the way, I'm wishing for like a mixed track or something. I'd like to see France or something. In fact, we've had France, didn't we? Have the France and China mixed, didn't we? Oh, go on. We'll throw Portugal would be nice, but I think it would be Singapore maybe. I'm not sure. Did we do Singapore? I can't remember for the life of me. Either way, I think something like that would be really cool to have nonetheless in that one. But yeah, it's just a mixed bag, isn't it, that race? There's going to be some learnings that need to be had. I think just popped into the paddock chat on the Discord as well, and just Luke saying at driver hate you for that one. So there's a lot of learnings to be taken, and hopefully a lot of people can just understand where they've gone wrong, and maybe next week we'll be in for a slightly better race if a few mistakes here and there, while people of course have got to get used to the track that no one knows we're going to be at until the night. So let's see what we've got coming up on that one, as we hopefully get Hazara in here and we can have a conversation with him about the race we've just witnessed.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to him, unfortunately. I think he's on PlayStation, so we are going to have to go to him. We'll join the waiting for interview room now and join him in due course. And by me delaying that slightly is say now, Hazara, P3 out on track. First of all, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I think he is. Is he there?
Can you hear me?
We can. There we are. Now we can hear you. Perfect. I was coming through a little bit quiet on my end. We're all good. Hazara, P3 out on track. Congratulations on that P3. But what on earth was that race from your perspective?
Oh man, where do we even begin? I mean, that was crazy. I don't think I've been a part of a race like that in a long time, but it was a lot of ups and downs, but it was all worth it in the end, I guess, with a P3. I don't know if that'll be the position I stay in, but obviously I'm happy with the result. But the race was a roller coaster, like a lot of ups and downs and a lot of incidents where I was involved, and also in front and behind. So I just try to stay calm, really, and maximize, because my pace wasn't podium worthy, if I can say that myself. So I just try to play it smart, really.
I think it was just the chopping and changing nature, as you say, describing it as a roller coaster there in the first question. Pretty much like that. I think God knows how we feel in the commentary box, I've got to be honest, after that, because it was a roller coaster for us trying to follow on what was going on out on track. You were ending up further down the field. Then Matteo was on a set of older soft compound tyre. Then you were coming through the field towards the end of the race. You were ending up, I think, down in, 8th position, coming across the line behind Bell Belby. And in the end, P3 must have been far, far from the expectations coming into the race.
Yeah, it is obviously it exceeded my expectation, because I didn't know like 5 hours ago I didn't know if I was going to race or not. So it was and I hadn't done a lot of practice. Like I had done a couple of laps on time trial, but that was it. And yeah, I mean, After the last safety car, mm, maybe I could have been smarter. Maybe I shouldn't have used all my ERS trying to defend from Yossi, but they're also a rival in the championship, so I couldn't just let let those guys go, you know. So I had to fight, and then I had no ERS for like the last 4 laps, 4 or 5 laps, and then yeah, I was a sitting duck for quite a few guys, but luckily they had penalties as well, and I had 2 warnings, so I had to stay clean. But luckily I managed to do some.
Yeah, definitely. So, Tom asking in the Discord who's getting penalty removals. I think many drivers could be getting penalty removals from that. Many drivers could be getting penalties added on to their times at the end of that race as well. But yeah, it was one of those races where it just chopped and changed. Everything was all going on. P3 for you out on track. Delighted, of course, for ET8. Delighted, of course, for you as a driver picking up a P3. Your first podium, I think, here in Legacy Division, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Jota, coming across to you. Have you recovered? And any questions? If he's here, I hope he is.
Yes, I am here. I just decided to talk on mute, didn't I? No, really, really good stuff. I have recovered now, finally, after that one. Hazara, I'm just going to throw the one question to you, if that's all right, surrounding ET8's performance generally. You guys have closed down the gap to Team Shazoo, now the gap as low as 29 points between you and the championship leaders at the moment. Obviously, your season's now started to really kick back into gear. Really good performance last week. We've got a better performance from leading towards the front. Safety cars really sort of messed that one up. So moving through to round 13, 14, 15, you've got to keep the motions going. What do you guys need to do in order to keep up this performance, in order to try and take the championship?
Yeah, I think we just have to stay calm and poised. We just have to do what we've been doing, to be honest. And I'm not sure if if I'll drive anymore, but I'll be cheering my boys on because they've been amazing this entire season, and I'm happy I could at least contribute a little bit here. But obviously we have amazing drivers and great engineers. So I expect them to do really well, and I'm really proud of what they've been doing this entire season.
Lovely words. That 4 podiums in a row. That is for ET8 now. Moving on to the next race, of course, which is the question mark, the track that will be decided on the night. Looking forward to having your team alongside the other 9 for next week. Thank you very much. And back to you, James.
Yeah, definitely. So, nothing else from me as well. Hazara, go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.
Very welcome indeed. We've also got another representative for EPL alongside us in the commentary box as well. It is Mr. B Shadow. And Shadow, first and foremost, EPL, P2 out on track. Second time in a race week. In a week, you've been second in Legacy Division. Talk us through it.
Yeah, hello. So, firstly, I want to excuse about my English because it's really, really bad, and I don't understand everything. But we make a back-to-back in the podium. First podium in Miami, now in Australia, and it's absolutely great. It's really, really good. I'm really, really happy, and first podium as an engineer, and it's really beautiful.
It is really beautiful. Obviously, building on, I think it was Rayenne's podium last week in Miami. That P2 only coming up short by 300ths per second in the end last week. But from your driver's perspective out on track, what was that race like from their perspective? Because Hazara there in his interview described that as a roller coaster. I guarantee EPL are probably thinking the same as well.
Yeah, he's right. It was really a roller coaster for us too, because in qualifying it wasn't good. We were P15 with Bumblebee and P16 with Raphael. In sprint, we make a really, really good job, or we take every opportunities. And in race, we make a really, really good start. We take the P4, and there is a crash between Zozo and Justin, I think, and we are involved, and we break our wings. And at this moment, we think the race is over, but the race is over only when we cross the line. And yeah, hopefully a lot of drivers get a penalty in front, so we get maybe a bit lucky, but we deserve it.
Oh, I honestly think there's going to be a lot of penalties coming the way in that race in Australia because that was pure and utter madness from our perspective here in the commentary box. Jota, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yep. Yeah, no, I've got to just pose the question of you guys are making a bit of a habit of this now. Obviously, 2 second places in a row, and I think you got the fastest lap as well. So you get the extra point for that as well. So that puts you about 30 points away from the Bunga Racing team. So, speaking to your representative last week, it was about just trying to earn as many points as you possibly can. Do you think El Plan have got the opportunity and potentially the pace to try and get off of the foot of the table before the end of the season?
Yeah, because there is a free race to go, so we can get a lot of points like we did the last races, and everything is possible because the championship is a bit. There is not a big gap between teams, so actually maybe we aiming the top 9, but if we can get uh, top 8 or maybe top 7, we take it. So just hope for get good results for the next 3 races, and just hope for great battle with the other teams in track, and a good results at the end of the championship. So
Last question, really. I think just kind of interested to hear from El Plan's point of view, but obviously next week is the question mark. We don't know what the track is going to be until the race is actually decided on stream. So when it comes to what track it's gonna be, what do you guys want? Is there a specific track that you guys are really hoping for that really suits your drivers?
no, we have to make a list of all the tracks that could be choose from the choosing, and we have put 3 drivers and other drivers maybe to each track. Every driver is gonna practice a bit, Portimao or track like that, and we're gonna put the driver who are more consistent in every track. And I, myself, I hoping for maybe Spa or Japan for maybe getting good battles, because in Singapore it's gonna be really really annoying. But yeah, we prepare our driver to be consistent and versatile.
Well, wishing you all the best, actually, because as I said, you're making a bit of a habit of the second place spot. Maybe there's a potential win on the cards for the El Plan Racing team. We'll have to see. Either way, great performance from yourself. Thank you very much for joining us on this one. James, back to you.
Yeah, and that is it from me as well. Shadow and EPL, go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna make it.
Very welcome indeed. An L plan from their perspective have certainly got an L plan going into next week as well with how they're going to approach things out on track. That is going to be the end of tonight's live stream. We really hope you enjoyed it, even though it was absolute craziness out on track. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, of course, if you are brand new to the channel. We are going to be back with you, of course, next week. It is all up in the gods of me, unfortunately, for next week. I get to decide what track it's going to be from the lucky hat, which I'm going to unfortunately have some bad product placement on the stream because I haven't got a next level racing one, so I'm going to have to use a Rising Lions one. So hopefully that'll be my shout out to the team that I am in next week. Then, though, we can definitely focus on the final 2 races of the season, though, Jota. It is Britain, Silverstone, and then it's Austria, round 15 of the championship. Those 2 tracks are synonymous with really good racing, really good driving. We did Austria on Friday. Absolutely unbelievable racing craft coming through there. Hopefully, the races are going to be more like what we saw on Console T1 on Friday than what they were tonight.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. Obviously, there'll be some learnings taken across all of the drivers. And remember, it's not just learnings across the drivers and across the teams, but of course, it's across the administration as well. Everyone will take some learnings. Even those in the chat, I'm sure, will take some learnings about behaviour in order to make sure that we are all better moving forward into the next race. So let's see what we've got coming up, of course, with that particular track. But you make you point to the British Grand Prix and the Austrian Grand Prix always brings some little spicy affair. Of course, classic tracks. For the calendar as well, the former A1 ring, and of course the Silverstone circuit always brings a little bit of a spicy affair. So I think there'll be some great racing there, but I'm certainly looking forward to the mystery track next week, which of course will be with you guys as usual at 7:15 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, definitely not. And if you're not feeling dizzy after next week in April 30th race, whatever that might be, you'll be feeling dizzy on the May 7th because it's the first semi-final of Eurovision. Had to get that one in. But it is Console Tier 1 coming forward as well. Their final 2 rounds of the championship, if this is the right calendar, which I think it is, I hope it is, the one I showed on stream at least, it's Miami for round number 9 of the championship. Yeah, because we did Austria last week. It's Miami round number 9 of the championship this week, and then Brazil round number 10. I probably won't be there this week, I hope. I've done it 2 weeks in a row. I think Gareth and Joe will be back alongside you for that one. It is going to be Miami for the 25th and 26th of April for Console Tiers 3 all the way through to 8, and then Console Tiers 1 and 2 on Friday night as well. 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. UK time, respectively, if you do want to catch that. There's also more action to come from PC, who actually have their season finales coming up. They did Miami last night. Fantastic racing, I've got to say, last night. I'm catching up on the PC side. And it's Brazil, round number 10 of the championship, April 29th, starts next Monday, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. UK time, no matter what tiers are going on. No tier 1, of course, but we do get tier 2, tier 3, and the likes all streamed on the channel as well. So hopefully, everything will go swimmingly well in terms of the live streams as well. Big thank you, of course, to our sponsors, Next Level Racing and Grid Finder. You'll be hearing a word from them in just a second. But I'm going to leave the final thoughts to Jota for once on this live stream. We saw a crazy race there in Australia. We've got mystery track next week. God knows what's going to happen.
You're going to have a look between the keys of T and U on your keyboard. The letter Y is the one that I'll be leaving the word of the day at the end of this one, because let's be candid, there is a lot of learnings that need to be taken. Why were drivers acting the way we are? Why are teams acting the way they are? Why are the administrators having to deal with the pressures of an event that doesn't need to happen? And why, oh why, oh why are we still waiting for a champion to be decided? It is getting close, it is getting spicy, and we'll be all here once again next week. From myself and the rest of the team here, thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, and as well, thank you very much from me. As I say, if you did like that stream, like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell if you're brand new to the channel. You'll hear a word from our sponsors, Next Level Racing and Grid Finder, in just a second. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week at the mystery track, hopefully Portugal, goodbye.